You are listening to the Mountainside Podcast, and our returning guest for this episode is my friend, Hunter McIntyre. He's a high-endurance athlete who holds multiple world championships in obstacle course racing. He's also the current world record holder in the Michael Murphy Challenge and also holds a world record in HYROX competitions. But above all that, I always enjoy his company here at the Mountainside. He's a fun guy to be around, and I hope that you enjoy our conversation. Let's just dive right into this. Well, cheers first of all, by the way.
This is big.
Great to see you, man.
Yeah,
It's
always
been
a pleasure.
God, I don't know, a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
I think, right? When did you break the Murf record?
Well, 2020, I think, is when we first linked up. And our
right as the pandemic started.
Yeah. And our mutual partner had suggested that we get together to work together, and they were one of the first people that were really a big contributor to what I was doing when I was raising money for Murf. And the whole reason why that came together is because COVID had basically kicked my life in the nuts. I had this decorated season ahead of me. I was literally about to go to Dubai for a $50,000 championship with 7 other guys. We were going to split $350,000 if we had won the championship. First class tickets out there. We were going to live like kings. So they were flying us in. Right after that, I was going to go to Germany, and I was going to go stay in Germany for 3 or 4 weeks for the next world title. Everything was stacked up. And then all of a sudden, you just start getting these phone calls. They're like, hey, man, Dubai's shutting down. Hey, man, Germany's on full lockdown. Hey, man. And I'm just ripply full of muscles and veins popping out all over my body because I've been training my ass off. Peak season. And I was like, what the fuck am I going to do, dude? I'm a bow and arrow that's fully pulled back and I don't have a target anymore. I can't just let this thing go back and get unnotched. I need to fire at something. So, Murf was right around the corner. And if anybody doesn't know about Murf, it's Lieutenant Michael Murphy. If you saw the movie Lone Survivor, it's about basically a guy who fell in battle, representing the United States, protecting the United States, everything that we're basically made of, kind of comes from these guys' honor out there in battle. They basically set the tone to protect who we are as the United States. This dude was a legend. He had the hardest work ethic, and he had a workout that he would do that was actually called body armor. 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, 1 mile run, and you're wearing basically a weight plate, which is 20 pounds for men, 14 pounds for women, because that's their flak jacket, so that bullets, when they hit them, typically hopefully doesn't penetrate and kill you. So this guy had this savage work ethic, and his workout body armor ended up becoming this internationally known workout called Murf, named after him, and it really got popular because of the CrossFit community. It was really celebrities every single year posting about it.
It's a great fucking workout, man.
It's savage.
Yeah.
It's savage. So
So cheers to all the men and women out there serving the country and all that stuff. I don't think I drank on the first one.
That's a no-no.
But it's a hard workout.
May 16th, 2020, by the way.
It's funny, since the last time you've been in, thanks, Jeremy. Since the last time you've been in, I was like, all right, I'm going to start doing the Murf a little bit,
This is classy, dude.
Yeah.
Look at this, dude. You got the screen up here. Yeah.
You got Jeremy back there. He's all over the Google, so.
Well done.
Yeah.
So, we ended up raising money for it, trained really hard for it, set the record in it, and now, it's become, not because of myself, but I'm just saying, it's such a thing that all the time people are pushing for it. They'll do the 24-hour record. They'll do the one-time record, the speed record. So it's really fun. And then also, you don't have to do it to be extreme. Just do it to, represent and respect the cause. Yeah. Which is awesome. You know what? Just moving hard.
A little bit of suffering for those who have suffered, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's awesome. That's exactly around the time that we connected last. And literally, it's been this kind of gigantic, if you track the graph of what was going on in my life, it's like waves in the ocean. But now I'm kind of starting to have this nice trajectory towards straight north, but life's been crazy.
Yeah, no, that's wild. We actually watched you go and compete or whatever you did there and set the record. That was awesome. So what time did you actually end up coming in at? Or are you still holding it?
34:13, and
nice.
I had a better time up here at altitude, 31:58 on my own, but I think what I did was I overtrained. We were just we literally took such a short period of time because we basically had to change our schedule, and we packed the amount of workouts that should have been done over about a 4 to 6 month period into a 2 month period.
Yeah, you guys are psychopaths.
Well, we were just having fun. We were having fun. Nobody really got hurt here. Yeah. But you know what? It's questionable whether or not my record still stands. There's these people that have basically, Alec Blennis is a friend of mine I've competed against many times, and he did one on his own. But then, he was on his own, but then he went to this Murf place and had, the Murf challenge and did it in front of a bunch of people and was 2 minutes slower than me. I would really like to see people all come together and basically do kind of like a tournament, and we'll raise money for charity. That's something I've been trying to set up for years, and it may kind of line up this year or the following. But that's when we're really going to find.
That's awesome. Make it like an actual CrossFit event or like a HYROX, right?
Yeah.
You compete in that still pretty heavily too, right?
Yep. Just got the world record and the world championship in the past 2 months for that.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks, brother, man. Another
Crushing
cheers.
it.
Another cheers. It's interesting. A lot of these things are kind of aligned with each other in their time domain and kind of like the experience of what your body goes through. But I've always kind of looked at my career as more of a storytelling experience rather than like a true blue, like Olympic experience where it's like, you're training for an event every 4 years that lasts 15 seconds and then you got to get a little bit better the next 4 years. For me, I'll be honest, I have ADD and I'm like, well, look at that. Well, look at that. Well, look at that. And I try to make sure that every single year I'm majorly inspired to do the tasks that I'm training for. So they're a little bit different every year, but for the most part, they're kind of the same. Yeah.
So you've been at this for quite a while too, right? You started training at a pretty young age.
I mean, I wasn't like one of those kids that was in the gym when they were like 12 years old doing bench press and stuff. I didn't actually touch a weight until I was 19. And then shortly thereafterwards, I fell in love with it because I have a addictive personality. I went full-blown pro when I was 22. And it was only kind of like because of the circumstance of it all. Like, let's say if it was 10 years earlier, the only thing you would have been able to do when you got out of college was go straight into the Olympics. That was it. But at the same time, I decided to drop out of college. CrossFit was getting really big. Spartan Race was getting really big. All these kind of companies that were born off of those two companies continued to grow. And that one, HYROX, that I've been competing in a lot lately, that only popped up in 2018. But now it's so international that you're going to events and there's 25 to 40 events a year that have anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 people competing in it in these stadiums. And then Spartan Race will get ones that are up to 25,000 people.
I know, those are wild, man.
Yeah.
So cool.
And it's amazing. I mean, it's such an inspiring thing to be in the time that we're in right now. Like, you could literally pick up that phone right in front of you and you could sign up for an event all over the world any weekend and have like 50 opportunities any weekend of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So life's pretty fun. I can't say that I have any problems with that.
Absolutely. So do you have anything on the horizon, like any events coming up or anything that you have scheduled at the moment?
Honestly, I'm coming off of like a big peak, so I'm winding down. Typically I wouldn't be drinking, on, nothing wrong with drinking, but I'm just saying for my career and where I'm at, I wouldn't be drinking booze because I'll have another workout to do. But since now it's I just won the world title, I just set a world record, I just won another world record, and I'm like, all right, chill out for a second. Because you can only stay on that peak for so long. It's that thin air. It's
right.
That really thin air because you get so lean, you get so fit. It feels like your knees are about to pop off and your head's about to explode because your body's under so much tension. And if you do it just right, you're going to fucking win.
I don't think I've ever had that feeling.
Well,
I should have it.
We'll get
I'm
you there.
going to take it from your experience firsthand. So.
Yeah. But you have to come down from it and kind of relax. Otherwise, I get to this place where even when I'm not exercising, my body's just sweating, and my muscles are just sore all the time. And then you kind of relax a little bit, and then you allow your mind to go quiet for a little bit, and then you can kind of see this clear path ahead of you. What's the next step? At least that's the way I process it. Yeah.
And then when you're going into an event, are you a no days off type of guy, or do you have some recovery days, or what's that look like for you?
I used to be before I met the guy named Bobby Williams, who's kind of been a mentor of mine. I wish I spent more time with him. He's been such an iconic person for me. But he, around the age of 26, was the guy who taught me about controlling my energy rather than throwing it all around. He's like, dude, all you're doing is just fucking fighting and jerking off. All you do every time I listen to you. I don't even know if you'll be able to find Bobby Williams. He's really an absolute genius.
And what was his background?
He did wrestling and true Olympic style wrestling, but he ended up doing something similar to me. He came out here from New York. He grew up in Long Island. I grew up in Westchester. he came out here to California and he immediately became a very famous like model for Bowflex and was a stunt man for Marlboro. Like he just did everything, and he would crush it and be on the cover of these billboards. And then he would just like go in a van and go out into the mountains and go rock climb for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time. He was truly the most like all-American badass, and he's still a badass. The dude's, I think he might be on the verge of turning 60.
Wow.
And he's just as strong as me, just looks just like me. If you're standing here, you'd have no clue that he was at that age. But he was the guy who really taught me, like, I stopped, because the internet will make you believe that everyone's working hard all the time.
Yeah.
They're doing nothing.
A lot of people, it's a fugazi, right?
Yeah,
like, yeah.
For sure. And he got me to respect rest. So I take days off. Every Sunday I take really seriously. I call it Duck Day, where I'll like go to the park and feed ducks bread. Like I just relax. And now like I'll even listen to my body. If I have this like huge schedule ahead of me, like there's your inner pussy that's just like, man, I don't want to do it today. But if you're not,
I got to coach myself every day.
Yeah. But if you're not feeling it and your body's not like really primed for it, I'll just take it easy. I'll go for walks or ride my bike really easy. But I had to learn to respect that over time. And every single year I get better, interestingly enough. Like I have less hard workouts every single year, but I get better every single year.
Because you're pretty much hard in the paint. Like I see some of your workouts online and it's high intensity all the time for hours, right?
Well, I made this funny post a couple days ago where I was like, I posted like all these really ugly faces of mine. Like, see that one right there? If you click on that and you go through, just keep on scrolling.
I can't believe that you don't have your own like comedy or reality TV show coming in. Like, I know you've been on some TV shows before, but like,
I wish, dude. I wish.
They should just follow Hunter with a camera.
Yeah,
if you're listening to this and you're an executive producer, call me. I'll put you in touch with Hunter.
It will be a damn good show. Yeah. But that's my point. Like, look at that, how hideous that face is. If you are not at that place, you are not at your potential. Yeah. You know, there's absolute calm and then there's absolute pain. And that's what I believe in. Like, that's where you find, like, you know, it's the monk and the warrior. You have to have that inner monk and inner peace so that your body can truly find a relaxed state of mind and allow your body to, like, fully decompress from all the stress. And then you need to be able to explode, like you know, just.
Is that to help with focus, you think, too, or is it
for sure
mental clarity?
Yeah. And I'm not like, I don't like to use the word meditation, but I do use mindfulness. Like I have a song that I play every single time before I start a race, and without fail, it almost brings me to tears and like makes my skin tingle and makes me want to kill the person next to me, and it's crazy.
What song is it?
I think it's Scotland the Brave. I don't know why. Okay. It's embarrassing that I don't know the title of this, but I could literally.
Dude, yeah.
Yep.
That'll do it.
Yeah, it's pretty extreme. So I grew up. My name's Hunter Garahan McIntyre. A McIntyre Scottish family. My grandfather would take us to the Highland Games every single year, and so you'd watch this. Yeah, Scotland the Brave. Our family would come together and there would be this gigantic bagpipe army. And it was like the most powerful thing in the world. Like it just was erupting with energy. And you'd see them marching out on this lawn, hundreds of them. Wow. And you're like, wow.
Actual bagpipers?
Yeah, actual bagpipers. And then, you know, these guys will do the Highland Games where they're chucking cabers, which is like a big telephone pole, chucking shit over top of a pipe to see who can throw the highest. Like there's all these tests. Yeah, that's it right there. So I play this every single time before I compete. And you'll see me over in the corner kind of shaking my head and fucking biting my teeth down and grabbing my fists. And people are like, what's wrong with this guy? Does he have like autism or something? There's something going on in his brain where he's having all these weird tics. And that's just me. And like that's a mental set-off point. And then there's other times where I just like I'll hang upside down and I'll hook my feet into pull-up bars to kind of stretch out my spine. And I'll listen to different kind of music, which is kind of like a yoga meditation style music. And I'll allow myself and I'll just think through every single station, every single action, every single breath. I'll count the reps, everything. So it's like almost as if I've done the race in my brain 1,000 times before I've done it in physicality.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Visualization, right?
Yeah.
And isn't it crazy how music can set a mood? Like I've been a fan of music all my life, man. Like since I was even a little kid. Like there's pictures of me with fucking headphones on, plugged into like an old record player, you know, listening to whatever the Eagles or whatever my mom had on the deal. And it's wild that it can make me have so many different emotions. It can pump adrenaline into my body. It can do all kinds of different things.
This song, I think, is in the DNA of every Scot too.
Yeah.
My wife's 100% Scottish, and she like comes to attention as soon as you hear this song.
Yeah. Bagpipes are powerful. Bagpipes are really
Especially
powerful.
played live, man. It's wild. So if there's, I don't think I've ever experienced a bunch of them together.
Oh,
though.
it's powerful because you got the drums going too, and then you've got these guys. I cannot remember what it's called, but they basically have what looks like a hiking pole, but it's much more like fancy than that. Right. There's these guys right up there. Okay. Yeah, and they're doing their thing, and it's just regal.
Look at that get up.
It's
man.
as regal as it gets, you know.
Yeah.
So where my family's from is from North Scotland, and we're technically considered Highlanders, but we were like trash. Like we were, lowly type, and we grew up on the land of the Campbells, and the Campbells were the rich folk. And eventually the Campbells decided that, they didn't want to use us as warriors anymore. They didn't want to use us for anything. So they basically kicked us off their land and just put sheep down because they found out sheep that could make more money off sheep than they could off us. So that's, I believe, why we ended up kind of started migrating out of Scotland to places like
that's
the
cool.
United
The
States.
heritage back that far.
Yeah, and
lineage. Yeah.
So if I ever see a Campbell, I'll just cut them dead right there, right where they stand. I don't give a fuck. I'm like, wait,
you're gonna Braveheart them? Or?
What'd you say your last name was, motherfucker?
Actually, I have seen multiple bagpipers. I take that back. This was a long time ago, probably 15 years ago. But have you ever been to a film on the rocks at Red Rocks?
I've never been to Red Rocks.
Really?
Nope.
Fuck, you
I've
gotta
been invited
go, man.
so many times.
Yeah.
I actually don't like live music that much.
Really?
It's just a weird experience. Like
Okay.
this for me is not considered live music. This is kind of more of like a ritual experience.
Sure.
But just like the idea of like being in front of a bunch of people and kind of like moving side to side and looking forward, it's the same feeling.
Being in a crowd give you anxiety a little bit, or
no? Because
No.
like if I got into a mosh pit, that's action. Like
Right.
if you play music and we're just smashing into each other, like I feel
yeah,
good
I grew
about
up going
that.
to punk shows, so that's
Yeah.
what I was into. For
I would
sure.
go to Beach Fest when I was younger out in Connecticut, and we just fuck each other up, and
Yeah.
it was like action. But I just don't like get like. Being
Well,
all
you should go
packed
to
in.
a film on the rocks then, because
Yeah.
that's a little bit different vibe. So that's what I was getting at. I went and saw Braveheart at Red Rocks Amphitheater.
That must have been special.
So they have like a local band play up until dark, but then they open the movie with, if it's Top Gun, they'll do like a flyover. Like they get
Really?
pretty adamant with it. Yeah,
wow.
pretty elaborate with it. And for Braveheart, they had some bagpipers come out to the beginning of the movie and like start playing bagpipes before they actually started. It's pretty dope. And then everybody kind of dresses like, if it's Big Lebowski, you're gonna see a bunch of naked dudes in robes, right?
Really?
Yeah, and there was guys in kilts, like the whole mooning scene. I
Yep.
don't know if you remember that.
They did
I'll
that?
never
Of course
forget
they
that.
did, yeah.
At Red Rocks, yeah. So it's kind of like a cult type
I would
movie
buy
situation.
I would
It's
buy into
cool.
that big time.
Yeah.
There's something like that, and I'm gonna blow it, but there's something like that in this big park in Los Angeles, and I went there and watched Moulin Rouge, and it is amazing. It's this humongous lawn. Thousands of people come out. There's wild peacocks walking around, and they project it up onto this humongous wall. And that was a really special experience. But I'm not going to lie, my girlfriend would probably love this, so don't spoil it. But I'm going to take her on a date and do this. You have to remind me by the end of this thing.
That reminds me, too. So I went back and was listening to the first episode that we recorded, which I think was like episode 6 or something. This is going to be 90-something, like 90 episodes later, right?
Congrats.
Yeah. Super pumped. So thank you for being one of our first guests right out of the gate. But you turned me on to a band back then, and my entire family loves it. The California Honey Drops.
How rad are they?
Fucking amazing.
See, that's something that was different. That was live music that I was we ate some things, and we were in it. We were in it big time, and I was like, wow. And it's like a 20-piece band? Something
I don't
crazy.
even know. I haven't seen them live.
Oh, dude.
But how would you like to go see them live next weekend?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of our local breweries, they're going to be playing here in Evergreen.
Is this the 25th?
Yes.
Oh, dude, that's what you're texting me about. Yes, we are in.
So I hit him up today, and I was like, hey, the last time I was in with Hunter, he actually turned me on to this band. They're friends of mine that promote the show from Icelandic Skis and Evergreen Brewery, but it's the Evergreen Hops and Drops. So it's a whole like microbrews. There's a bunch of different microbrews that are going to be there. Then they're having the Honey Drops play. A bunch of bands play up to it. So they hooked us up with some tickets.
Dude, I'm 100% in on that. Yeah. Is that Sunday?
God, I don't know. Jeremy, can you look up the 25th? I think it might be a Saturday.
25th is Saturday.
Okay. Yeah.
We're in. I mean, it's got to be. It's the afternoon. I do a bike race in Winter Park that morning, but I'll drive straight here.
I think it's the evening, right? It's going to be an evening type concert. So
they're incredible. The guy who plays, who's the main singer, he looks like he's Leprechaun from The Hobbit or something like that. Okay. It's like a really, really rad look, and he's kind of got this like kind of like bell-bottom baggy pants, and he's got I don't even know what the material is. Like it's like a tartan, like the Scots wear. But it's something, he's got a really interesting look, and everybody in the band's got an interesting look, like big afros and stuff. It's super special. Yeah, that guy over there on the left with the afro is super rad.
I can't wait to see him live, man. I'm super excited. And it's in my hometown, of all places. I was like, good job, Sammy. Hey, and also check this out. Because we have such amazing friends over there that are putting on the hops and drops, like the Pinecone Project, Evergreen Brewery, Wildflower Cafe. If you want to get in on a chance to win some free tickets to the California Honey Drops at Bannock Park. Buchanan Park. If you want to learn how to win those tickets, super rad opportunity. Jeremy's got the information here.
Yeah, it's Hops and Drops Evergreen Craft Beer and Music Festival, June 25th. It starts at noon to 9.
Sweet.
We're going to put up a post, tag a friend, and you can win 2 tickets. The important stuff, though, is that it's you got to enter by 6/24, which is going to be the 24th of June.
And we're going to dump all this information on Instagram so you can actually see exactly how to enter. There are some rules, though, right, Jeremy?
5 entries maximum per person. The winner will be randomly selected.
That'll be the Hops and Drops Instagram page is where it'll be notified.
Yep, and you got to be 21 plus to enter.
Yeah, so no kids. No kids.
No kids.
Boozers only.
It is a beer festival.
All right. Well, that's fucking awesome, man. Big shout out to Evergreen Hops and Drop and the California Honey Drops for hooking us up, and all of our buddies over there at Evergreen Brewery and all that. So, shout out.
Cheers.
How close do you guys live to here?
I'm walking distance.
Awesome.
Mile and a half. Jeremy's pretty close, yeah.
So you never take that Porsche more than 10 feet?
No, I take that thing everywhere.
I always see him going up and down the mountain. He takes it to Costco and shit.
He called me. We passed each other on Pena Boulevard, going to the airport. You're like, who the fuck else is driving that car?
Well, nobody else has a Porsche with a roof rack on it, so I love it. Like,
but it was funny.
Got
my
the
phone's
suitcase. He actually uses it.
My phone's blowing up, and he's like, "I think I just passed you," and we were like all the way down in the middle of nowhere going to DIA. It was funny, but
that thing can't be 4-wheel drive, is it?
No.
I was about to say, it's like the roof rack. You better not take that
But
thing
he
skiing.
drives it up the mountain skiing all the time and shit.
Really?
Only if I know it's going to be clear.
Oh my gosh.
That thing will get you in fucking trouble if you run into the snow.
I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I am a humongous car addict.
Okay. We got that Bronco a while ago.
I got the Bronco, dude. I've had like 5 cars since then. I literally buy a new car every 6 months. It's a terrible problem. It doesn't ever earn me any money.
Are they classics or like new cars?
Always new cars. Like I just bought the Ram TRX 700 horsepower truck.
Those are.
Yeah,
Christ.
I got the M3 2021 twin turbo 6-speed, and I'm trading that thing in for a GT3 Porsche. And since I saw you guys, I had an SRT8 Jeep.
Talk to me about the GT3. What are you doing?
I am going to get the new one. I want to get one of the older ones, but I'll probably get one of the newer ones just because at this point it's like maybe $20,000 difference, but it's like 20 light years difference in the performance capabilities. Yeah. And
how far out is that, though? How far out? Did you order one?
No. So I basically go to this consignment place in Los Angeles, and it's the kind of thing where you have to get rid of one to get the other one, but they start bidding on the other one kind of at the same time that you're getting rid of yours. So I'm always kind of pulling a little bit of money out. I think my dog farted. That smells terrible. I'm always pulling a little bit of money out and just keeping a little bit so that I can put it down the next down payment. But honestly, dude, like if I could ever bring you guys and transport you to Malibu, California, I don't want to talk about this too often because the cops will catch on, but the canyons there are the greatest racetrack in probably the West Coast.
I've almost died on motorcycles in those canyons. But
you're from Torrance.
Well, I grew up here.
Yeah.
But this was the worst place in the world when I was, graduating high school, so I moved to Hermosa Beach.
Oh, Hermosa.
But we used to do Harley rides up to, was it Neptune's up
Yep,
there? Or
Neptune's
something?
is incredible.
Neptune's bar? Is
Yep,
there a bar
Neptune's
right up
that.
there?
Yeah, right there on the water. It's
And
a
I can't
blast.
tell you how many times I've had a Ferrari or a Porsche or somebody go by me at like, I'd be hauling ass, like 80, 90 miles an hour, and they pass me like I'm standing still. So I don't even know how fast they're going in that canyon.
Do you go to Bill's Malibu Kitchen?
Bill's Malibu Kitchen.
On I think it's Sundays. They do Cars and Coffee there, and it's like Seinfeld shows up with his like ultra rare. I think he showed up with like the first 911 last weekend.
Is that the Rock Store, or are you talking about Old Place? Because there's Saddle Peak, Neptune's, the Rock Store, and
what's the one
Old
way
Place.
up the canyon? Is that Saddle Peaks?
Saddle Peak is about halfway up the canyon.
Okay.
Neptune. So
isn't there one called the Rock Rest or something? It's not actually
the Rock
in
Store.
The Rock Store.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Rock Store is incredible.
Yeah.
That one actually burnt down during the fire.
Oh no shit.
Oh, so you're talking about Malibu Kitchen, which is right there in Cross Creek. Yeah, that's where a lot of people show up, and you'll literally be sitting in the parking lot with $100 million worth of cars.
Yeah, totally. That's what I've heard. I've never been there, but I hear about it a lot.
It's incredible. Like, you know what's super shitty though?
Like Leno, and they've had a bunch of shit with the cops there.
Yeah, so this is the thing I was telling you guys about. Basically, these store owners are so upset by these people showing up that they think it's getting in the way of their business. I don't know who's got more expendable money than people that have $500,000 cars that want to buy your shitty jeans with holes in them for $750. But they're basically now finding people. Like, dude, these guys are just these people have so much money and they're so in the face of the store owners. They're just park in a handicap spot, take the ticket, and leave their car right there because it's this battle between the car owners and the shop owners. And I personally, being a car owner and also like someone who actually lives in Malibu, think it's incredible for business because most people actually show up to come see the cars. It's a free show. Where the hell are you going to see a Ford GT, like a 765 McLaren? You're going to see like an old Porsche. You're seeing like just the rarest stuff that's in the world.
Run the gamut on.
Yeah, right there. And you could just go get a cup of coffee, and then afterwards you can, maybe I'll get a shirt. Right. Yeah, and it's gorgeous. Yeah, and like the brick lay ground, like it's a very unique experience. You know, got like that. You got the Vipers. I'm a big fan of American muscle cars. I wanted to get like a Viper next to an ACR would be a great expense. Yeah. But it's a legendary experience, and when I saw your Porsche, I was like, man, I hope you give that thing everything it deserves up here in these canyons.
I drive the shit out of it.
Yeah, you got to.
Have you ever driven an air-cooled 911?
What's that?
You ever drive an air-cooled 911?
No.
All right, you will afterward.
There you go. Is it 6-speed?
5.
Okay. There you go.
1980.
Nice. And it's a naturally aspirated 6.
Yeah.
And how much horsepower has it got?
It's not much, and even up here, it's even worse. So you're probably like around high hundreds, like probably like 190.
Really?
But it's light. You know, it's just not a whole lot over 2,000 pounds, probably. So
it's so crazy what they're doing to cars these days.
I could park that car inside of the one that you ordered.
Yes.
It's insane. Yeah. That's the big complaint is that everything's just getting so big.
Everything's getting bigger. So that truck that I own is 7 feet wide. It's got a 6.2 liter supercharged engine at 702 horsepower, and I think over that in torque. And it gets, between truly the way I drive it, between about 4 and 10 miles per gallon. And so the thing is, I get the thing. I ordered it in the fall. This is before everything started happening in Ukraine. Yeah. I get the thing, and then gas prices hike up $2 per gallon where I'm at.
That's what killed muscle cars from the 70s, right?
Yeah. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not sitting here crying. Like, my life's not bad. But at the same time, I feel almost guilty every time I just go to the store. I'm like, that was like $40. Oh, dude, I spent $200.
Or a 20-gallon tank, rather?
No, it's in the 30s, dude. I spent $200 twice a week to fill up the car. And it is unbelievable, and it's just the world's
But, man, can you haul ass at that?
It is. It's a great. I'm not here complaining. As I said, if we get in the car, just turning it on, I click the double tap button that turns it on from like a quarter mile away when we're walking across the parking lot just to hear it spike and roar. And people around are like, oh. They kind of grab their children and pull them away. I'm like, man, right? This thing's a goddamn dragon. Yeah. That's truly why I work my ass off every single day so that I can have the passions and fun of life that come.
That's that's living life, man, in my opinion. If you sit back and try to save every penny and all that sort of stuff, I think you're missing out on a lot of fun.
Investing
Lot
is
of
the most
experience.
boring word in the English language. It truly is. It just, you know what? Don't be stupid and just take cash and burn it in a trash can. But literally, you got to live. And I try to live like a 15-year-old until the day that I die. Like, what would 15-year-old Hunter do? Well, I'd probably be like riding a bicycle and climb a tree, and then I'd go to the store and buy whatever food I could afford that was in my pocket. I don't buy lavish things like gold chains. I'm working. I'm hanging out in khaki shorts and this. But in reality, when I was younger, I'd look at cars that were really fast, and I was like, I hope I can have that when I'm older. Yeah, now I can pull it off. But for the most part, you know, you got to just smile ear to ear every single day. And I've been living it.
No, that's freaking awesome, man. So what's the dream muscle car? Do you have one in the...
I would like to get the Ford GT, the GT40 Ford GT kit car. I don't want to spend the one that actually says Ford on it because you just get a markup for no reason. And that thing's a 5.7 liter, and it's got headers straight off the engine that make it sound like a sleeping dragon, just like all the time. And that would be the ultimate dream, but it's...
Who is it that makes that? That's
There's a couple companies that just do these kit cars.
American Muscle.
Yeah, I could type it in a second, but just type in GT40 kit car. And yeah, the Super Performance right there. That's the one I always look at. Yep. And you can get all these different kind of models, and it will take a long time from start to finish. And obviously, every single year after that movie Ford versus Ferrari, the price keeps on going up. Right. But it is the dream. I've seen a couple of them, and they're just incredible.
Have you been to the Shelby Museum in Boulder?
No.
Oh,
there is one?
Yep.
There's one in Vegas too, isn't there?
I don't know about that one in Vegas, but I was just at like it's the Shelby American Museum. It's in it's like right outside of Boulder, I think.
Really?
Dude, it's crazy. There's like, I don't know, $500 million worth of Shelby cars, all the original stuff, all the race cars, all the Ken Miles stuff, all the race cars are in this place, and they're all in this like little industrial area. It's crazy. You walk in there and it's like haunted. Like they've got just piles of paperwork with like Carroll Shelby's just like
Can you pull up some pictures of it or something?
Yeah, it's bananas.
Why there of all places?
I have no idea. Well, I'll tell you why. You know, Larry Miller owns all the dealerships. Half of the cars are his.
Really?
Yeah, which I had no idea.
The interesting thing is Boulder is the least Colorado place in Colorado.
Yeah. It really is.
And when you hear about these like American muscle cars that just guzzle gas and spike the volume.
You think it would be somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like when
What's that old saying? They say like Boulder's 15 square miles or something surrounded by reality.
Mm-hmm. I'm having a real trouble with Boulder. I've fallen out of love with Boulder. I don't know what's going on with just the narrative of people there and their level of entitlement and just confusion of what's going on in the world and interaction. But everyone seems to be a little bit tense, a little bit entitled, and just it's too crowded now. If it literally, I only have to drive 3 miles to drop my girlfriend off at work every single day, but we hit like 50 stoplights, and there's a line at every single one of them. You can just tell that it's kind of just getting overinflated. And I'm sure a lot of it had to do with COVID, people figuring out they're like, I don't need to live in New York City or San Francisco or Los Angeles to get my life lived. Yeah. And Colorado is like one of those.
We're seeing an influx
states.
even right here, and people get frustrated and entitled and like to the point where we live around wildlife, so there's elk crossing the road constantly.
Yeah.
And I see people full on just like laying on the horn like it's a New York City.
Yeah.
Traffic light.
I left New York City because I thought it was like the lowest form of humanity. I remember one day I was getting on the subway on 59th Street on the 6th line, which is like one of the most popular stops in all of Manhattan. And I walked down the subway, and it was during rush hour, and there was it was almost double the distance between here and the front door of just humans all packed like this, like in a zombie line, trying to stuff themselves into the subway. No one was communicating, everybody. And I was like, this isn't what humanity was supposed to be. Like, we're not communicating. We're not civilized. It's just disgusting down here. So I left, and I've been living on mountaintops ever since. And now all of a sudden I kind of am starting to feel that thing about Boulder where, it's not a subway, but at the same time, it's just too packed.
Too many people, yeah.
Yeah. I watched the first month I moved back to Boulder in the fall, I watched 3 physical interactions with people in a Whole Foods, which is supposed to be a civilized, uppity kind of grocery store. And I was like, what in the world is coming on? Like, I was pretty amazed. So, I don't know.
It's crazy. Even just going to, like, the natural grocers up here or whatever, like, people are aggro. Like, there's just too many people. If you're there on a Saturday or Sunday, everybody's upset. Like, I'm the only big guy with a smile, that's, like, trying to get whatever. And
do you think
it's just like most people are rude?
Do you think it's just the place that the world's in right now?
I think that has a lot to do with it. Because if you think about everything that we've been through in the last couple of years and how good we've had it since basically World War II, right? We haven't had anything that's really, really hit home. I mean, Afghanistan is crazy, but that was always kind of like a thing that was so far away, and I feel like we were so disconnected with.
Yeah.
And, for 20 years it went on. So it's just kind of like that back burner, which Ukraine's starting to turn into that a little bit.
Yeah, dude.
But we've had it good for so long. And then you get COVID, and then, it's just one thing after another. Stock markets, the inflation, storm the Capitol, all that, everything that's happened, not even to go down a political road. If you're just standing there, maybe you're in the middle of the road on either side of whatever opinions, just to watch it all is exhausting. Like, I can't even watch regular media news anymore. Like, I'm getting my news from a podcast I hope that it's credible, but, like, shout out to Crystal and Sagar too. I don't know if you listen to them at all, but
no,
good information. So
it's interesting. Like,
alternative news.
I feel like we're up on this shelf right now where everyone's shoulders are up near their ears, and just there's a lot of intensity. So I particularly am moving further and further away. Yeah. I actually bought a cabin up in the mountains behind Malibu. I was going to
ask you about that because you're way up there, like unicycle and hatchets and all kinds of stuff.
So rad. So I bought this thing during COVID because we had lost the lifestyle that we were living before. The majority of places that I was living, Boulder, Los Angeles, had really taken this super intense mindset towards COVID. And this isn't a conversation about COVID. It's just about lifestyle. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to live that lifestyle. So I found out in the mountains, we were always kind of escaping towards Big Bear, that San Bernardino County was kind of a like don't ask, don't tell policy. Like, hey, do you have a mask regulation in your store? Don't ask, don't tell. Like, don't tell me what to do. I won't ask you what the rules are. None of this kind of stuff. And everybody was really relaxed about it. So I found this cabin. I was just kept on looking in Zillow, and I found this home that looked like an Ewok village, like big-ass pine trees, little cabins all over the place, fireplaces outside, inside. And yeah, that place where I have on the unicycle right there, that's the front of the cabin.
Jeremy, we gotta watch this video real quick.
Right there next to the shirtless one. There you go.
I think you had just bought a unicycle the last time you were in.
Yep.
That was to set a world record on something, right?
That was another COVID decision. So you can see, like...
Dude, that place is rad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just this, like, little stone cabin. And behind that, there's 3 more cabins on the property with bunk beds in it. So I kind of just escaped reality and went up there. And not to say that I don't want to be a part of reality, but I kind of disassociated myself with the stress that was involved with it. And yeah, I spend most of my days using chainsaws and stuff and just hanging out, and it's paradise.
It's so decompressing, right? Like,
it's incredible.
I think that's why a lot of people moved into Boulder and into towns like these smaller mountain towns.
Yeah. Because
they're getting that same sort of feeling fleeing New York City or wherever, right? Like the
unfortunate thing, though, is they're bringing their shield and their sword. Like,
exactly.
They brought the tension from where they were just at and have that same kind of attitude. And people need to cut that in half. They need to be like, hey, listen, like, stand your ground, but at the same time, don't have an aggressive attitude towards what's going on. So it's...
And understand that the mountain communities do have a bit of a culture to them, too, you know? It's
sure.
A little bit more laid back, like...
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, though, Boulder's kind of the Santa Monica of the mountains. Yeah. It is. But up here, though, when I got here, I immediately felt so relaxed. I just parked my car, and I looked around because I was nervous. I was like, am I going to get a parking ticket? But I was like, oh, wait, there's no, like...
Nobody enforces anything here, dude.
And I started walking down the road. with Doug without a leash on. If you do that in Boulder, they'll fine you. And
Oh,
like
right.
it's just like a lot of crazy things. But Doug
What an
walked.
awesome dog, though,
Yeah.
by the way, dude. Thanks for bringing him in. We always love having dogs in. Does he have his own Instagram yet or anything? Or-
Katie's got one for him, but he, interestingly enough, I was like, don't become one of those girls that's posting about the dog all the time. You go crazy.
I'm not going to say that his ass is smelling good right
No, he fucking. You know what the shitty thing is? She's like, he loves tuna. I was like, oh, I don't love what it does to him. So he fucking rips ass all the time. So it's a nuisance.
It's
but
so funny because I bring my dog in, and a lot of times I only bring her in when I'm virtually recording. But she'll lay over there, and she's just like, fuck. We'll be at one point in the conversation, and she'll just groan. But it sounds like I'm ripping ass during the fucking recording. So I always have to explain. But she's just like, oh, God, when are we going to get out of here, Like,
what kind of pooch you got?
she's a blue healer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's super smart. Athletic.
A lot of
loves
energy.
to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. She'll go anywhere with me.
Dude, this guy's a rock. He
Yeah.
doesn't do much at all, and I'm pretty impressed. Like, I can't tell if I wanted a dog that would do more because the level of like this is so relaxing. I can't personally deal with a dog that's got a lot because I'm a lot, and then we clash.
Right.
Yep.
Well, that's the best thing about my dog is she is high energy, but she's high energy when she wants to play
Yep.
or when I want to play, right?
Yep.
And then she knows when
She got
it's
an off
time to
switch?
chill out. Yeah, like when we're here and I'm on the mic, she's over there. She might not be happy about it. That's why she grunts and groans all the time. But
Yeah.
it's kind of funny how they have their own personalities. And
Can you tell me about the podcast experience? I'm gonna ask some questions for you.
yeah, you're interviewing me now.
I'm interviewing you because I used to do one a long time ago, but I never produced it. I
Didn't
never
you
put
do
the
one
work
in the nude or something?
No,
We talked about it
no.
the last time. What was that?
No, that was Morningwood Radio.
Right.
We wanted
right.
we started at the beginning of COVID, dude. If I showed you this episode, you would laugh your ass off because it was the week that COVID hit, and we made an episode kind of just talking about how ridiculous the world was and
Yeah.
what was this kind of sneeze
Was
disease.
it you and Jacob?
No, it was
because I thought I saw one with you and Jacob where you guys were like in robes or something.
Oh
right?
yeah. We've definitely had some fun. This was with my roommate Matt Kempson.
Okay.
He's a legend.
We've actually had Matt on.
Really?
Yeah, we
He
had
is-
him on. We got to get Matt
Dude,
back.
he's awesome.
Yeah,
He is incredible.
yeah, he's big tactical guy game.
Yep.
Tactical games guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Matt was awesome. We got to get Matt back in.
He is an absolute legend. He's been one of my closest friends since the beginning of our whole athletic career. And now, we've kind of always taken different directions in sports now, but it's amazing how we've made it this far. So I was just going to ask, though, like, what was it like starting this thing? Did you have a goal starting it? And have you followed, like, a mission? Or is it just kind of like let it naturally happen?
Mostly let it naturally happen.
Yeah.
So when I started this, the only goal was to keep me busy during COVID, right? Because I came from the entertainment background, and
You guys
that
were all-
shit went to a complete stop during
Yeah.
COVID. And
You
once
guys
we
were the
started going into-
infrastructure of music, weren't you? Like, you
Yeah,
guys set
so
it up?
behind the scenes, production type stuff. Jeremy's in the same sort of field.
Yeah.
So I called Jeremy up and I was like, hey, so I have this. Actually, I called some friends in the podcast game that had already had successful podcasts and everything. I was like, hey, here's my idea. This is what I'm thinking about starting. And this is pre-COVID. I was going to originally take this on the road and interview all my roadie buddies, just an excuse to hang out, have a few beers, have a good time, tell old stories, because I was like, there's got to be a way to document this, and I am not a writer.
Yeah.
So, like, all the experiences that these guys have had, there's got to be a way to, like, get this out of them and somehow archive it, right? Because there's some wild times that happen.
Fuck yeah.
So that was the original podcast idea, was I was going to take this. I bought everything. So I had a travel kit. It would all fit in a Pelican like suitcase that I could check, and everything was there, and it was going to be a hotel podcast, and it was mainly going to be for me. Like, I never wanted to start a podcast to make money or to be a career or anything like that. Well, COVID came along. I had always had an idea to start a second podcast. It was going to be called The Mountainside, just like we were talking a few minutes ago. The whole premise was to help raise some awareness with as much of an influx of people that we're seeing move in here, me growing up here.
Yeah.
You know, I'm seeing a lot of public lands just get demolished, trashed, people leaving trash, people, you know, going weekend campers basically that just leave trash or toilet paper laying on top of the
termites or human
ground.
beings.
Yeah.
Ripping shit up.
So, and I could have taken an approach and been that aggro, native, Colorado native, or whatever that stereotype is, where you're pointing your finger and yelling at people, or flipping them off when you go by, or whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
But I tried to take a different approach, and this was to help try to educate people. So we've had experts in, from biologists to Colorado Parks and Wildlife, but at the same time, I wanted it to be fun, and it's really turned into, although we are still raising awareness, it's showcasing people that live in a mountain community or in the mountains doing mountain athletic things, whether they're a professional rock climber, backcountry snowboarders. We've had a lot of former military guys on. So really, it's my own selfish show, and it's exactly who I want to talk to, and those are the only people that come on.
That's pretty beautiful.
And, the sponsors have just kind of fell in line. Like, a few of them we've reached out to. A lot of them have reached out to us since the beginning, and it just kind of fell in line. So the goal was never for it to be like a full-time career or make all this money. I'm doing this purely for my enjoyment and entertainment. And luckily people like listening to it too. So it helps us to keep creating content, have that little bit of monetization to pay for everything. So,
But the studio is beautiful though. Like everything you guys have done here, like I'll admit I've been on a lot of podcasts, and there's been about 3 to 5 of them that have this level of professionalism. And it's awesome. Like I'm honestly inspired because I started my own businesses during COVID, and the way that you guys have leveled up and just kind of seeing everything. You guys always had good booze. You guys always had good mics. But when I saw like this and the presentation, I was like, holy crap, like this is very cool. Yeah. And I was inspired because I personally want to bring back my own version. I started a podcast. We did Obstacle Dominator with a guy named Ben Greenfield, super rock star in the whole biohacking industry. But it was basically kind of like he ran the show and everything, and I liked it. I like showing up with as little responsibility as possible and having a blast of disconnecting from the world for an hour and just chatting. And I understand, like, I know that this just doesn't just happen. Like, you don't just show up here. You all right? You don't just show up here and let it happen.
Guys.
Like, it takes work. It takes responsibility. Yeah, like, this is like
No, I'm just laughing at the whole situation because, excuse me, it isn't easy. It's not easy by any means, but I love the fact that, like you just said, that you can sit here and have a conversation that's uninterrupted from a cell phone or whatever. And there's been some honest, like, bonding moments. I've built friendships just from having a podcast,
For sure. This is actually my biggest enemy, my cell phone. Yeah, so COVID actually gave me this opportunity where I completely left this world that was so physical, and I had to go into the mental world, and not necessarily spiritual, but I had to truly take this like belief system that if I had the capacity to compete at a super high level in something, that I could take that same exact transferable action into almost anything else. And I started 3 businesses during that time, since I talked to you. Wow. Yeah. And
congratulations, man.
It's amazing, dude. Like, my life is completely sustained by those now. Anything else I decide to do is just like a fishing trip. Like, it's just like, hey, I'm going to cast my
Sounds
rod,
like I need to
in.
take some business lessons from you then.
Dude, I don't know anything, to be totally honest. I'm the biggest novice in the world, but I'm the kind of person that if you gave me a shovel and you say, hey, let's get to China, I'm not going to think very much about it. I'm just going to start going. And I'll learn on the way. And that's the only reason why I got here. And I'm not saying that's the smartest way of going about it, but it's been the approach that I've used. And
that was kind of our approach with the podcast as well. It's just like trial and error, figure it out. Like, we started with not much, like some cheap ass microphones and one little camera. We were in a closet the last time I recorded with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was also me not being afraid to reach out to people like yourself that, if you go back and listen to that interview, I could just pick myself apart because I sucked at what I was doing. But as I've grown, I feel like I've gotten better, and I'm always improving,
Yeah.
But
are people really receptive to it?
They are. Yeah. I think that something that's missing in the world a little bit, like you said, whether you're getting on a train in New York City or maybe you're cruising through the grocery store up here, is people don't have conversations anymore. Nobody goes and like sits down unless you're at a bar, and then that's just a drunk conversation, which happens on here every once in a while too.
Damn right.
But how often do you meet a stranger now, especially since the pandemic, where you actually like sit down and have a conversation over a cup of coffee, I mean, maybe it happens on an airplane, but even then, like, people are shut off. They're in their own world, you know? There's noise-canceling headphones.
Yeah.
90% of the people that I sit next to on a plane, I don't necessarily want to talk to or find interesting.
Yeah.
You know, like,
It's
not
because
to
of
be
this.
rude or like
Yeah.
And you always have entertainment in your hand, right? It's
Mhm.
at your disposal all the time.
Yeah.
Whether it's TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is, right? And then if you're a social figure like yourself or a high-level athlete or anything like that, it's almost like it's expected, right? When it comes to these endorsements, like even with us with the podcast, they want to know right away what we're doing on Instagram and what we're going to do for them and how we're going to plug them and blah, blah. You know, like there's all these crazy things that kind of come behind the scenes that you probably know way more about than I do.
Interestingly enough, all my partnerships, I took years to get the level of confidence that I have now, but I tell people, I'm like, you have a very easy opportunity to find out who I am. Go look at my page, and nothing else is going to change from that.
Right.
You're going to see me running around with my shirt off, moving weight, probably catching wild animals, riding a unicycle some of the time, and anything that I truly believe in, I speak from the heart, but I don't pitch it.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to really sell other than the fact that I'm living daily life, and if you're part of that interaction, because that's just the organic self that I try to be transparent about. I personally, like, you know, it's amazing that these brands are here working with you, and they deserve to have, like, the opportunity to be heard about. Like, all of these brands that you see right here in front, I've had all of them, and they're all awesome
it's all
products.
stuff that I use.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's why they're sitting there.
But if I came onto your show and started listening and you had mentioned these products more than once just organically, I'd be like, oh, fuck, I'm in for a...
Well, now we have a whole production team that does that behind the scenes. So,
Really?
like, once we get, like, 12 minutes into the podcast or
Drops a little
even
commercial.
right now, it drops a little commercial, and then we bring it back in. Like, I've made it as turnkey. So the money that we have made, I
Yep.
put right back into it to make my life easy so I can just enjoy this and enjoy doing this.
Yep.
The back end shit is brutal. But if you want any advice or you need any help with starting yours or you need a place to record, dude,
Yep.
you always have an opening here. So
Oh, dude, awesome. Like, because I honestly, like, I see all this stuff, and I'll admit, like, it gives me this, like, I didn't even notice that these things are here right now. Are they recording?
Yeah.
Holy shit. It's like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm not the kind of person. I have this little stick that I call my influencer stick. It's like a little tripod that you can bend the arms all the different places, the little bubbles, and I call it my influencer stick. And it doesn't even have batteries. It's just like a standalone.
Yeah.
And that's the highest level of technological involvement I have besides my iPhone.
Well, you do great though, man. Like it's all about the content, right? It doesn't
truly
matter
is.
if you have all this bullshit. Like
Yeah.
it's all about the content.
My biggest regret in life, if I could go back and meet my 20-year-old self, I would say take every dollar that you have right now, Hunter, and give it to somebody that will film you. And be poor until you're 30. Spend every dollar on production, and you will spend 30 to 100 as the most successful version of yourself.
It's especially in this day and age,
Yeah.
right? Because everything's on a YouTube channel or an Instagram or something like that, which is great. I mean, honestly, that's the biggest reason that we have an audience is we've had some social influencers, you know, or these big mountain celebrities like world-class bow hunters that have shared the podcast a couple
Yep.
times, and it's just built a fan base. So
It's rad, dude.
shout out to anybody that's helped us out, including yourself, man.
Oh, dude. I mean, I'll always be a fan. Like the Paul brothers.
Yep.
Look at those guys. The Nelk boys. Like, these are
Yeah.
people that literally took over the world just through influence. There's this guy now called Mr. Beast on YouTube. I don't know if you've ever heard of
I know
him.
exactly who he
But
is.
he basically, like, has as much power as some of the major channels. Like, he's creating shows with bigger budgets than TV shows. Like, it's just...
It's wild.
It's unbelievable how you literally with a GoPro and a microphone can take over the world. And it's kind of a scary place in the way that, as you were saying before, you were like, I hope that's a credible source. You kind of lose confidence what credibility is because everybody has a voice
And
now.
everybody's got an opinion, right?
Everybody's got an opinion. So there's that's kind of like the double-edged side of the sword. But then it's also this other incredible opportunity where everybody really has a voice and it can be shared. So I don't know. We're going
I think
into
that I've tried to steer away from that too, like steered away from politics, even though I have my own personal beliefs and stuff. But to me, it's more about that conversation and having somebody in that's doing, amazing things, stuff that I would never do in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And having a conversation with them is always great. But really it's just the human connection. And that's kind of what I was going back to. Like if you're getting on a subway or whatever, like you don't have that anymore. So I think people kind of crave that, if that makes sense.
Well, dude,
and so you get it through podcasting. And there's so many, no matter what you're into, if you're into knitting, you know, or whatever it is, I'm sure that there's a podcast out there, the knitting podcast or whatever, you know.
You probably become a lot of people's best friends you don't even know about.
Oh, it's wild. That's the thing that trips me out is when I meet somebody, and not that I have this huge fan base or this huge following, but you probably have experienced the same thing with as much content as you have. They feel like they know you personally. They know more about me from listening to me conversate for, you know, an hour and a half each week than most of my best friends do.
Dude, I had a odd story. A couple weeks ago, we had our world championships in Las Vegas, and I was at a random casino, and I played craps with a guy for like 4 hours who knew me on the other side of the table and didn't say anything for the longest time. Near the end, he's like, dude, I know who you are. I love everything you're doing. And we just silently, like, just had the greatest night ever. And it blew my mind. Like, we had just, like, this incredible experience. He had no idea that I was there competing that weekend. He just knew me through some kind of thing. And it was this awesome night. But he didn't say anything. I got to know him organically without knowing it, and it was a very, very special feeling. To be honest, I was on mushrooms, so it was much more of a special feeling. And I made a lot of money that night, which was even better. But it was one of these kind of things. And, you know, I'll admit, like, social media also has changed my life in the way that so many of the people that help me out doing what I do now, I use social media actually rather than as a promotional aspect, actually as a connection aspect. If I just say, hey, guys, I don't know how to fix this part on my bike, I just put it out there, I'll have 50 messages, and people will randomly FaceTime me and help me fix my bike right there.
That's super cool.
Changed my fucking life. And I think really if you can use avenues like this, and I'm starting to learn this now, in that direction, it's the most incredible thing in the world. Or you can use these things to actually, it will almost create degrees of separation because people will no longer have a need to connect with other people because you're just interacting with things that truly you have no real connection with.
Right.
Yeah. It's a very weird world. That
and
we're
I'm
in right
horrible
now.
with my personal page. Like I have a personal page too, but like I can't spend the time on it. Like I don't want to spend the time on it. Like we do it for the podcast and that's about it. And it's strictly about content. It's very seldom that I'm like, you know, check this out or follow this or whatever. But it's strictly about promoting the podcast and what guests we've had on.
Yeah. I've reached that point also where I kind of struggle to share what I do in my daily life because I have used my platform so much as a business, what I call the net. You know, every single time you post, you're kind of casting a net and seeing what you can drag in, unfortunately. But, you know, I had this weird thing happen to me a couple years ago. It was somewhat of a good thing and somewhat of a bad thing. I had a friend of mine who's somewhat was a mentor to help get me into the direction that I'm going in now with business. He was like, man, you got to stop posting all this ridiculous shit all over there because people are going to not think you're as credible because you're like, one day you're chasing a squirrel up a tree, the next day you're riding a unicycle, and then you're trying to sell a workout program. And I was like, fuck, I guess you're right, dude. Like, I guess I have to.
But that's the aspect I love of you.
That's what I thought. So then I went away for such a long time, and I stopped posting those kind of things because I thought it was wrong. And then all of a sudden I was like, fuck it, man. I caught a squirrel in my house. I'm going to post this video because this is ridiculous. This is
holy shit. That was the funniest thing.
I was
showing my
dying
kids
laughing.
that.
Did I send it to you, Jeremy, or like?
No, I sent it to you, I think. Oh my God, it was hilarious.
So tell me this, walk me through this story, not to change the subject, but this is like
no, the editing was the best part, the slow motion and the comedy and editing is.
We're on the mountainside. You were dealing with wildlife here. This is mountain living. So is this in Boulder? Or?
This is in Boulder.
Okay.
So I scored him with a squirt gun. A couple days later, he's broken into my house, and now he's ate my cheesecake all over the place, and now he's. This is the best when he rockets through the air. This is Doug.
Oh my God.
The worst mountain dog of all time.
Dude, the dog's like, what is fucking going on?
Did the squirrel actually try to attack him there, or was it like he like just jumped right into him?
I think he was slipping.
Yeah. So I'll explain the whole design of it. So this actually starts well before the day of the actual squirrel in the house. Okay. This one squirrel has been like kind of I don't know. He's been circling our home, knowing that he's been getting ready to burglarize it for a while. He's been watching us. So one day he's up in the tree, and my dog's just barking at him, and I got a squirt gun, and I filled it up because the dog was just going to keep on barking at him. I was like, I got to squirt this squirrel so that he runs away, so the dog calms down. So I squirt the squirrel, and then all of a sudden he drops down on this fence outside of our house, runs to the edge of the fence, and then just turns around 180 and comes straight at me. And I was like, oh,
damn,
shit.
dude.
I was like, this dude's going to go right into my face. So I took the squirt gun, and I just bumped him and knocked him off the fence, and he's gone. Didn't think anything of it. I was like, that was pretty crazy. I've never had an altercation with a squirrel like that before. Same fucking squirrel. I guess what happened was I came home from whatever I was doing. I opened up the door, and there's just boxes, like stuff knocked all over the floor, and the remnants of like cheesecake. And I thought the dog had jumped up on the table and ate the cheesecake, and I was pissed. I was like,
scolding the dog.
I was like, Doug, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden, in the background, I see the squirrel just like explode off the table into the other side of the room. So he's just bouncing all over around the house. I was like, this is gonna be a blast. So I was like, I get the dog all riled up. He's chasing the squirrel and everything. He's awful. He can't catch a squirrel at all. Eventually we corner him behind the laundry machine, and what you guys saw, that slow motion thing, I tried to grab the squirrel, and my hand slipped and basically kind of gave him a little bit of propulsion. Comes straight at the dog, beelining towards his face. I thought for sure. I was like, Doug's going to catch him. He catches tennis balls, nothing. Slams him right in the face. Eventually we catch the guy, get him, throw him, and he hasn't been back since. But I can tell you, in all honesty, dude.
You're going to be going to your car one night, dark alley, and
I'll show you for a second. Go to my Instagram real quick and look at the people that I follow. I have another page, which I should fill up more. Go to the 8 following. So now go to Safari Bob. Up a little bit, right there. Mr. Safari Bob. You see that one?
Oh.
Yeah, right there. Click that. Now you can start to see some of the crazy ones. Now this is another one that was nuts. Scroll down a little bit.
So is this another page of yours?
This is another one of my pages.
Okay.
Go to that one.
Make sure we follow this,
straight
Jeremy.
on my face. This is the one
so
where
this is going back to your Steve Irwin
yes,
passion,
click on
right?
that. Yep.
Okay.
This is a crazy one. So this is my cabin.
And I don't know why it's 4:15 in the morning. I don't usually wake up this early. And I felt something weird rolling over in bed. Look who's been sleeping with me all night.
Oh, shit.
A big ass dead rat. I don't.
Yeah. I was not here when I went to sleep, so he must have crawled in with me. And I rolled over and smashed him.
Oh, Jesus.
Alive.
Dude,
Dead.
I don't know what happens,
It's like living in the woods.
but everywhere I go, I am somehow having face-to-face interactions
With wildlife.
From this house, I'll try to send you guys the video. I chased a 300-pound bear up a tree. Like, there's just all this kind of crazy shit all over the place, and this is truly my biggest passion. This would be the life that I would like to live if there was a way that I could
The
somehow.
passion project.
Oh my God, it would be my ultimate dream.
Safari Bob. Would that be your name?
I mean, you could call me Safari Bob. Yeah. I don't know why I came up with that name. There was a guy who was my neighbor in Malibu named Dingo Dave, who was a total asshole, and I guess I came up with Safari Bob since then. But yeah, that would be my ultimate life. Animal interaction. If I could find a way to accumulate enough money off of the work that I've been doing now and then just become a man of the nature, dreams do come true.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, dude, I'm trying, man. It's one of those kind of things where it's like I had these like kind of difficult points in my life in the past year where I started to recognize there was like selling out's the wrong way of putting it, but you could put your life into work and money, or you can put your life into passion and, just pure passion. No real monetary value. And sometimes those things align. Like, my life is pretty good. Like, I train people. I love that. I have a supplement company. I love that. But there's this other side of me that was like, man, I wish I was just in khaki shorts, just tackling crocodiles in the wild, riding zebras all over the place.
He was such a wild guy, wasn't he, man? Like
the greatest person, I think, on the
How
face
old
of
are
the
you,
earth.
Hunter?
33.
No. Okay.
And I bet you that's when his career started to take off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, that would be ideally my life. He had a really good thing. Like, one of my biggest influences is Teddy Roosevelt. That guy, if you ever read about him, just the most epic human being on the planet.
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Like an American hero in the way that he did it all, but then he was rugged.
You ever see the picture of him when he's like 18?
No. See it. That cannot be. That's Teddy Roosevelt?
Wow.
Wow.
What a badass. Look at those
gnarly
chops,
looking
man.
dude.
Yeah. Dude, if you learn about him when he was younger, he was asthmatic, he was weak and awful, and like his dad like truly just didn't like him because of those things. Like he would tie him to a horse and slap the horse's ass and try to get air into his lungs so that it could cure his asthmatic problems. Wow. He forced him to go do gymnastics, and he basically trained himself out of all of his ailments to become more of like a burly man. He didn't like the fact that he grew up in New York City and was considered like, a sophisticated, wealthy person, and he ended up going out and becoming like one of the Rough Riders out in the Midwest and everything. Then he started to go into like the rural places of like, the Amazon and stuff and discover things. When he already had his money and presidency, he just went and just kept on going for more. That's the inspiration I want to continue to have. Like,
Absolutely.
I never want to lose that.
That's just it. That's kind of what I was getting back to is we got it so easy now. Like, imagine growing up in that. And then he lost his wife and mom or something all kind of at the same time, like to a tragic accident. I don't know the entire story, but
poor guy.
I think that's how he coped, was being in nature and in the mountains. And that's kind of what spurred the National Park Service, I think.
That's why we have everything out here. Yeah.
It's wild.
We got to have more Teddy
Thank God
Roosevelts
for
in the
it.
world.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we got people like
There aren't many of them.
Yeah.
You know what confuses me? Why do people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Richard Branson all want to build rockets? Like, why can't they just build shit that makes the Earth a little bit better? And maybe in the long run, rockets are going to save the world, but why haven't we figured out, like, desalinization?
We're getting a little ahead of ourselves, aren't we?
Right now?
You're building rockets rather than fixing this place?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm like, everyone's like, the world's running out of water. I'm like, how is that possible?
Right.
Yeah.
There's got to be, I don't know. I would just hope that one of these guys would step up to the plate, and I don't think anybody's really done it yet, other than Elon stepped up on a couple things, like world hunger or whatever, like calling some people out, but will he actually do it? The whole Twitter thing, that was kind of cool, I thought.
Yeah. I'm not calling these guys out as saying they're bad, but I'm just confused why all of the direction is towards the sky and not towards where we're at.
Right.
Yeah. They've all created uniquely incredible businesses that have absolutely helped the world and increased our lifestyles by the umpteenth degree.
I couldn't agree with you more, man. Like, there's some problems that need to be fucking solved.
Yeah. Dude, there is this thing, like, everybody talks about how, like Lake Powell and, like, all this stuff is, like, basically going bone dry and, like, all this stuff is going on. Like, one thing confuses me. You know how they're always like, oh, like there's all these fires in Boulder and stuff, and they're saying like the world's getting windier and worse and everything like that. I'm like, how is none of the science that we have right now able to manipulate any of these things? Technically, all storms are basically just like electrons and neurons and too much pressure. And you just like drop a little bit of a chemical bomb, change that shit?
Yeah, no, you would think like cloud seeding or whatever they have now that do, right? Yeah. I mean, they know how to cloud seed, create clouds, create moisture. Like, we have a fucking ocean.
That's what I'm trying to say. I think we have 7 oceans or 7 seas. I can't even remember anymore. But the thing I'm saying is, like, I don't know. Like, you guys have this kind of influence. You have all these people that are in the mountainside. Like, I wonder if that's a narrative that you guys hear more often, because I'm amazed. Like, if this person used to be the president of the United States and, like, was, like, changing the world and trying to create all the conservancy, and people like Steve Irwin are there, I feel like that narrative's almost been lost a little bit, and it confuses me because I don't know where the fuck we're going. But
Is there really any money in solving a problem, though? Like, at the end of the day, it's kind of like there's money in
that
shoveling.
might be the problem. I think that there's got to be some sort of incentive.
There's
right?
constantly got to be a crisis.
There's got to be. I mean, why do you think Elon's involved with solar stuff? Because it's a money-making thing right now. Like, everybody's going to that route.
But
I doubt that there's going to be a whole lot of money in cleaning up that Texas-sized garbage patch in the middle of the ocean.
Right.
How much cash are you going to make off of that?
Well, I just think about this. So look about all this stupid shit about alkaline water, which I think is the biggest BS on the planet. As soon as it hits a water bottle, it changes its, like, alkaline, like, pH levels, all that kind of shit.
So what do you know about it?
I mean, dude, so alkaline water, basically, they say that they put it through all these, like, extreme purification systems, and they're supposed to be, like, they change the pH levels and everything. As soon as you put it in this plastic bottle, it gets denatured. As soon as it gets natural sunlight, anything like that, anytime the heat of it changes and stuff, it denatures things. It just happens. Just think about it, like if you took a vegetable and you freeze it and then you unfreeze it, it loses some of its bioavailability. There's no way that these water molecules are staying the way that they supposedly turn them into these super primed level bullshit. I'm not a scientist, but I'm not also stupid.
And it's another way to tack another couple dollars onto
totally
bottle of water, right?
So my thought process is, though, is like if you think about just like here's a marketable idea in my mind, and I'm not the person to do it because I don't have the influence to do it. But if you think about somewhere like desalinization, it would be so easy to say, hey guys, we got this water from the ocean. We spent the money to save the world by pulling water out of the ocean through the desalinization process. Call it seaweed. We're bringing us all together through water out of the sea. Boom. I just gave you a $50 trillion idea. That's a very marketable thing in my mind. I'm thinking about how, wow, this company actually took the action to pull water out of the ocean where we have so much availability that they're taking a truly a forward-minded thinking step in the right direction. Or I could have some kind of bullshit pH level going through my system, which is doing nothing, truly. So
there's some people, though, that it affects in an adverse way, right? Like it gives them serious problems. Jeremy, look this up. Like there's some people that genetically can't have alkaline water for some reason.
I'm sure. I mean, there's people all over the earth. If you give them fucking peanuts, they die. So, you know.
No, everybody's got an allergy to something, right? Yeah. You would think.
Well, you know what's super fucking weird? This is another left turn. Did you see how Justin Bieber just got some kind of weird thing that paralyzed half of his face?
No.
So I've noticed how so many people
think that's associated to drug use at all?
No. So it's called Bell's palsy, and he has another thing. It's another autoimmune disorder. Thor had it, half Thor, the big strong man. Like all of these people are getting it. Look, see?
Wow.
I wanted to update you guys on what's been going on. Obviously, as you can probably see from my face, this syndrome called Ramsey syndrome, and it is from this virus that attacks the nerve. I'll be using this time to just rest and relax and get back to my
He canceled all of his dates.
Wow.
Do what I want to do, but in the meantime, this ain't it. I gotta go get my rest on so that I can get my face back where it's supposed to be.
I'm just saying, so this is something that I've noticed recently. I've been on this earth for 33 years. I would say I was physically aware of a lot of things starting around the age of 10. Between 10 and about 25, never noticed this. Between 25 and now 33, I've noticed so many people that have had this half-face paralysis thing, which is super weird. And I'm not saying, like, I can't tell if it's the amount of, like, plastic content that we're taking into our bodies, if it's something to do with solar radiation, if it's something to do with viruses like COVID coming up. But, like, the guy who won my world championship last year, utmost respect for him, superstar athlete, got COVID, but then the COVID itself, I can't say this is a COVID, thing, it's just a correlate. The COVID itself gave him Bell's palsy, where it paralyzes half of his face. Then all of a sudden, Justin Bieber gets it. So, like, it's happening more often than not. So, long story short, my point is like all this stuff that's kind of like we're consuming in our body is kind of freaking me the fudge out.
Yeah. No, the microplastics thing scares the shit out of me. But then it goes into the same sort of thing as like, what bullshit are we being fed too? It's like, I don't know, but I've been more conscious about that. Like trying to store food, like we used to store food, or I used to, in like plastic containers. Now I'm trying to buy more glass and stuff like that. It's easier to clean and more.
Interestingly enough, though, look back in the day and people like can smoke cigarettes, eat shitty food, and live forever. Yeah. But then all of a sudden you see like a healthy person like Justin Bieber or some of these guys, and all of a sudden they get it. I can't tell if the narrative, like, the narrative that tobacco and alcohol is bad for you is the true narrative, or if these things that we're eating all the time, which are on shelves all over the American, is the true bad stuff.
So I'm currently on an elimination diet. And it has been, it's been a drastic change to my health.
You're just
like
isolating
in a good way.
certain things so that all of a sudden...
I've isolated everything to meat. So it's basically the carnivore diet.
Good on you, dude.
And I'm doing it for 90 days, and then I'm going to start reintroducing foods. Because I was working out at least 5 times a week for an hour and a half. Cardio, going to jiu-jitsu, hiking around the mountains, and I just wasn't losing weight. Like, and it has to be from something I'm putting in my body. And I wasn't eating horribly. And I had tried all these different diets. Heart disease runs in my family. I'm getting into my 40s now. I think that probably has a big, part or play in, your body's starting to slow down, starting to change, right? So I'm not as active as you are, I'm not a professional athlete. So my body, started to change pretty drastically. And my blood pressure went way up. So that's when I got super conscious about it, right? I was like, fuck, I want to be around for my kids, as long as I can. Like, that's the main purpose. And in my family, I think my grandfather's dad, so my great-grandfather died at I think he was in his 40s. So like late 40s. Then I have some uncles that have had heart attacks in their 50s. And these guys are in phenomenal shape, like backcountry bow hunters, in the woods all the time, work construction jobs, like not easy
they weren't
lifestyles.
Sedentary, lazy guys.
Yeah. So I've been super conscious about it, right? And I actually have Dr. Sean Baker's been helping me out with getting started in it.
I'm not familiar with him.
He's a former military doctor, and now the carnivore diet is kind of his deal.
Okay.
Now he's a public, what would you call him, Jeremy? He's a fucking savage is what he is.
Oh, dude, I know Sean Baker. This dude's a fucking thug. That guy is a beast.
He is
He's
a beast.
Monster.
Yeah.
Psychopath.
So, it's interesting. Here's the truth, and I'm going to give you guys the bro science. And people can try to dissect this as much as you want, but the reality is inflammation and insulin are the devil. Inflammation basically is it's like the main factor that can basically kick off cancer, can kick off a ton of these things, heart inflammation, all these kind of things. A big factor that can basically spike that stuff is insulin. So if you take in like simple sugars and things like that, that will spike your insulin. Now, insulin isn't always a negative thing. Like, I use my insulin spikes to basically shunt carbohydrates into my muscles and get high performance. But if I took that same level of simple sugar and spiked it into my body and it didn't go into these muscles that were just like starving for fucking fuel, it would be bad. And typically what ends up happening is it just ends up pushing that blood sugar up. And you can get all this basically like, subcatatonic fats, and it can go in the artery walls of your heart and stuff like that. It's gnarly. And actually, some of the fittest and leanest I've ever been was when I would just eat steak and apples. And
That makes sense.
Loved it. And
This is the hottest chick in the world, by the way.
who is that?
I don't know.
But she's
Just
a
eating
babe.
steak like that.
Yeah.
It's all good.
But this guy is a total savage. And you're getting information from him?
Yeah.
That
I
is
actually did a personal consult with him, reached out to him. We're trying to schedule him to where he can come on the podcast. But I'm about 50, I'm actually exactly 55 days in, and I've dropped, he told me not to really watch the scale because I'm putting on muscle mass for sure. Like, I can feel it in my body.
because you're probably actually starting to hit your protein needs also.
100%. Yeah.
So, this isn't a pitch towards my product. It's just like I'm talking about stuff. But I created a product that is BCAAs, branched chain amino acids. And basically most endurance athletes are consuming simple sugars all the time. And what they end up doing is they end up getting skinny fat because they become metabolically dead. This guy has a ton of muscle mass on his body. He could eat 50 Twinkies and his body would literally burn through it like an incinerating furnace because his metabolism's high. But somebody who's an endurance athlete typically has a high level of carbohydrate diet, could be as tall as him, but also have probably about 30 to 50% less muscle mass. What that does is that creates a lot of metabolic problems inside your body, which basically means low metabolism. Low metabolism means anything you eat above that metabolism turns into fat and creates health problems. Typically when you're eating things that, more fat on your body, not a good thing. There's always like a certain level that you need. But basically, I was sick and tired of just people constantly just getting basically sugar packets and salt for all their workouts, where in reality, most of us have enough carbohydrates in our body all the time to do the tasks that we need every single day. The most low-level macronutrient value that the average human American eats, and you can get this in the National Health Association that will print this stuff for free, is protein. We're all low on protein. And the number one driver for creating muscle mass, simple, protein. Yeah. And it's so interesting how people want to get away from that narrative. This simple diet right here is just giving you protein, sometimes excess protein, but you know what happens when you have excess protein? Typically you piss it out. And if you look at books with one of the best books I ever read was with not Dr. Tim Ferriss. Yeah. And he did these things where he basically looked at all of these things where he was giving people anywhere from these studies gave people anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 calories of pure carbohydrates a day, pure protein a day, pure fat a day. Both fat and protein, people lost body fat every single day. The sugar diet was the only one where people were gaining mass, and it wasn't healthy mass. So I don't know. I just went on a big rant, but my point of telling you guys all that stuff is that if you are worried about eating too much meat, you're probably getting false info.
100%. And that's one thing that, myself and Sean talked about, because unfortunately from the USDA and, the National Health Organization and all these things, anybody that they did studies on way back in the 70s when they figured out that red meat was not good for, a diet or cholesterol or anything, they didn't look at all the other shit that was associated with it. So what do you get when you go to a steakhouse? It's almost impossible, even since I've been on this diet, to go to a Del Frisco's or a high-end chain steakhouse and just order a steak. They're literally trying to force feed you
all the stuff
lobster
on the side.
Mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, all the bread, all that sort of stuff that comes with it. And I think that's the biggest culprit, right?
100%,
yeah.
Dude. If you think about it, the average person that's drinking booze is not drinking booze like we're doing it. They're doing basically pina coladas. That's it. These people are going out there.
Sugary drinks.
I'll have a Jack Daniels and Coke. All of these things. It's not usually the core product that's the problem. It's all of these add-ons, these bolt-ons that you want to get. A salad itself is just leaves, but then all of a sudden you put this shitty dressing on it. Then you put a ton of you put on 500 calories worth of blue cheese dressing and ranch and stuff and all this stuff, and then you're putting croutons and everything on. It's basically a deconstructed sandwich.
That's the only way you can make it fucking taste good.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
A steak you can cook by itself, no salt, no nothing,
Yeah.
and it's still going to taste pretty decent,
I totally agree, man. I think the steak diet is one of these kind of things. And do you feel like your energy is better?
Hands down, 100%. It's mind-blowing what's happened to my body. So I was on blood pressure medication. I wanted to come off of that. Literally within 3 weeks of this diet, my blood pressure is perfect. No medication, no nothing. Yeah. I've dropped weight. I've noticed my muscle mass go up. My energy's gone through the roof.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks of this diet, I was ready to kill anything that walked in front of me.
You're just stressed.
Yeah.
It's you're
not
getting
really stressed. Just I was just.
You're coming off.
I guess
the
I
shit.
hadn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was a little bit of a detox period. Now that I'm the 40 days in, that's kind of tailored off. But I was agitated,
I hardly recognize you. I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. And
Jeremy sees me
holy shit.
what, 2 or 3 weeks at a time sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But there's been a gap between this one. I was like, holy shit, dude, you look totally different.
Dude, your thing is so what's happening is you're no longer manipulating your blood sugar. And dude, what that does, man, is this.
Too,
yeah,
I've noticed is huge because when I go do my other gigs that I can't say no to anymore, you're on your feet for 20 hours a day on concrete, and it just murders you. So I would be swollen, dude. I can go and do that no problem now.
You got
I can
the
walk
joint cracks and stuff
20,000
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
20,000 steps. you know,
he
on
was
a day
cooking
that-
steaks in his hotel room.
Savage.
You have to. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
other way around it. Like if you're trying to do something with no seasoning, no sauces, like I haven't stuck to it 100% on that. Like I found some seasonings that like I feel are okay.
Listen, you're not the naughtiest guy in the room because you did
The
that.
one thing I will say about this though, if you are on this diet, one of the most important things is your salt intake. Because if you're just eating meat, normally in a normal diet, if you're eating potato chips or even a cracker here or there or drinking milk, it all has salt. It all has sodium in it. But the meat has very little sodium in it. So I'm taking salt supplements on top of that to make sure I get to that 2,500 milligrams. Okay. What do you got there?
Well, listen, I'm proud of it, so I'm going to talk about it.
Okay. Let me tell you what I've been taking since. Have
Yeah,
you seen
let-
these
let-
before? The Element.
Oh, yeah. So basically, dude, this is the
They
same.
sent me a bunch of free shit. So it's awesome. I love it.
This is basically the same exact thing that we have going on. Awesome. So this right here, 100% big believer in this product. I think a lot of people are chronically low on their electrolyte levels. And I think that's something like if you ever woken up in the morning and you feel like you're hungover, but you haven't drank the night before, typically that ends up meaning you're dehydrated, but also because your electrolyte levels are down, you're just having this connectivity kind of, it's off in your body. Electrolytes are the thing that basically create the electrical connections between your muscles and everything that's going on. And, you know, just drinking this bottle of water all the time, especially if you're kind of up in this like dry air and you don't even recognize you're sweating, and all of a sudden you feel like you're just like have like a kind of a fog or like a light headache, it's probably because you're low in these levels right here. I personally, as I was trying to tell you before, I had worked with supplement companies for years, and I was like, I believe in about 25 to 50% of the stuff that you guys are selling, but I'm a hardcore believer in those things. But there's things that I would like. I would always end up kind of becoming this Frankenstein where I would take the product that they have and then I'd pour this on top of it and this on top of it to make my version of what was necessary to get through the day. And I'm a true believer in this stuff. You know, I don't have all the accreditations of being a doctor, but I've lived in those places and done those things for over a decade now to the umpteenth degree for high-level performance. And I've always been this kind of thing where I literally study. I was like, if you want to find human optimization, look at the Olympians and the world record holders and then just find a lower level of that and take that approach in life, and you'll be a healthier person. I created a company called Builder Nutrition. Building better athletes is our motto. And basically, like, our other motto is making serving size great again. Kind of like, you know, make America great again. Yeah. Most companies, other than this one, they make the serving right on the front, very apparent what you're getting, and it's very beneficial and a true serving size. I was noticing a lot of these companies that I was buying buying their packets of whatever hydration they had or anything. Truly, you needed to have actually 2 or 3 servings to get the response that a human being needs to have to get to like an end goal. Really? So let's say like you wanted a pre-workout. You know, they could dump a bunch of caffeine in it, but other than that, why didn't you just have a cup of black coffee? All the other ingredients that they had were 1/10, 1/4, or 1/2 of what you really needed to have a blood flow response, any of these kind of things. You know, there's a company that I won't name because I'm not trying to insult them I would drink cans like this all the time, and they put creatine on their label, all this kind of stuff. But dude, they had 1/10 of the serving of what you really needed in creatine to have a response. But because it's on the label, you know, people are believing, oh, it's got that in it. Sure. Yeah, so I took this, and it's a gift to you guys. I'll bring another one up. But you should leave this up in the office and just make a scoop. But this basically,
Absolutely.
This basically is the reason why I've been considered the bulk pony. I'm the biggest endurance athlete on the planet that's a competitive endurance athlete. There's guys that are definitely bigger than me, like that Dr. Sean Baker. But basically, I use this to be able to create high levels of performance and keep muscle mass on my body and be able to basically do 20-hour training weeks all the time on a mountain bike, but then bench
That's important,
315.
man. When I'm going to definitely try it because when I'm feeling down or like I don't feel good, like that's the biggest thing I've noticed with this diet is like if you just listen to what your body's telling you, if you're hungry, you should fucking eat. If you're not, don't eat. Like if you feel tired, you probably need something, right? Like you probably need, and I'm not saying going to Starbucks and slamming a fucking 4 shots of espresso is the way to do it. Yeah. But it could be something as simple as salt or electrolytes or something that you're missing.
Tell me this, what do you snack on, or are there snacks?
So thank God for my friend Donnie Dust that I've had on a couple times. He's
Donnie
another
Dust.
Boulder guy. Yeah,
Yep.
awesome individual. He dubs himself as a professional caveman, and he seriously is. He's going out and he's made these stone tools. He lives primitively as much as possible, I think. He's got a few TV shows. But anyways, he's actually doing this diet with me. It's like a friendship type thing.
Fuck
and
yeah, little camaraderie.
yeah, so little camaraderie. We're doing this together. And that's helping keep me accountable, right? So I'm really sticking to it because I don't want to fuck him over, you know. But anyways, he turned me on to biltong. Have you ever had that?
No.
So beef biltong, it's a South African like jerky. And there's a few different, it's really hard to find. The only place I've been able to actually buy it off the shelf is Sprouts, but it's basically an air dried beef. So it's going back to like the native roots of basically how natives would air dry beef.
I've seen that one up tied.
Yep. And so it's basically beef jerky without all the bullshit, right? There's no sugar, there's no sweeteners, there's no additives. It's basically vinegar. I don't know exactly. Look at some of the ingredients, Jeremy, on the Brooklyn
It is.
biltong.
Well, here's the
Interesting.
comparison between like jerky, what typical jerky is in biltong.
Okay. So yeah, it does have a little bit of flavoring, but that's been my go-to. Like if I'm just like on the go and I don't have time.
It's air dried.
Other than that, it's all about pre-planning, right? It's all about pre-planning those
Are you
meals.
only red meat though?
No, you can do chicken, eggs, fish.
Pork?
Yeah, pork.
Dude, I've been getting into pork lately.
Yeah.
Dude, if we go to a restaurant, we got to get ourselves some pork chop tenderloin.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the one thing on the menu that you never think to order, right?
Sean kind of clued me onto this. He was like, really, pay attention to your body. Try to isolate what you eat. So if you're going to eat salmon, only eat salmon for that meal and see how it responds to your body. Like, see what it does. See how it makes you feel. Make sure that you're getting 8 hours of sleep or whatever. So it's constant. So I've found that eggs do not make me feel great.
Really?
Like I can eat them. They taste great, but they don't make me feel great. And then to even take it to the next level, if I've eaten like chicken or poultry, okay with that. Like I don't feel tired. I don't feel anything, but I don't feel satisfied. If I eat a ribeye, totally satisfied.
That fat content.
Right. So the fat content's huge too. But also like if I eat ground beef, it's all right. But what I found is I'm a backcountry bow hunter, so I have a surplus of elk and deer.
Yeah.
And that is my go-to, man. That makes me feel better than anything, like above beef.
You make like
all that-
burgers.
Mostly steak. Like I have
Really?
most of the animals butchered into as much steak as I can, and then a lot of the leftover meats and stuff into like steak and some specialty stuff like salamis and stuff like that. But
Can you use dairy to prepare it? Like, can you pan cook it in butter and stuff like that, or are you not allowed to?
I haven't used any butter, so I've been using beef tallow. And you can use ghee butter. I take that
I use
back.
ghee.
But ghee it's basically animal fat, isn't it?
I think
think
it's some kind of look it up. But
Yeah.
it-
Thank
ghee-
God you're here, Jeremy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it basically is like pasteurized or some kind of version. It's a different version of butter. Yeah, clarified butter from India. I don't know what the clarified thing.
So what I found is I like to cook the steaks on the Traeger grill, slow cook, especially the wild game, because it cooks so much faster and it's so lean
Really?
that you have to have some sort of like fat with it a little bit to kind of counteract it. So
Supposedly, if you only eat rabbits, you can get some kind of basically like malnourishing disease because it's
I wouldn't
such-
doubt it.
such
Yeah, it's
little
so
fat
lean.
content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with elk and deer. So I try to mix it up to where I eat lean for, like, this is what I found that makes me feel optimum. Either mix it up to where I'm cooking like deer or venison or elk and a ribeye, right? So I have a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And then that seems to be it. Or I do 2 days of just wild game and then 1 day back to, but when I cook the wild game, I cook it on the grill and then I have like a cast iron flat top that fits on my grill.
Yeah.
So it takes up like about half the grill. I cook the meat on one half, slow cook it, and then meanwhile that cast iron pan's heating up. I pull the meat off, turn the grill up all the way and get that thing fucking blazing hot, like almost glowing. and I put some beef tallow on it, and then I sear the steak. Fuck, dude, it's so good.
So I do the reverse. I will take cast iron pan, put ghee in it, get it piping hot to the point where it's like almost burning off the pan, smoking up the room. I burn it on each side for about 90 to 2 minutes, and then I put it inside of an oven, and I leave it there for about 15 to 20 minutes, and it basically just compacts the juices inside of it.
That's what Sean does, isn't it?
And it is unbelievable. I take great pride in this. Well, see, he's got a drip pan. I keep mine inside the cast iron pan.
Yeah.
And
Cast iron's the way to fucking go,
oh, man. It's
So,
incredible
yeah.
how something as simple as just a cast iron pan just makes the world go round, at least in
Yeah.
the cooking world.
I'm going to try that reverse method. I need to change it up a little bit because I just stick to my go-tos, but
So he's got, like, for me, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. I'm a grill guy. I'm a pan guy.
there's a sous vide or something like that, or there's a way that you like cook it in hot water and it brings it to the perfect temperature or something.
That was the other thing I was going to bring up is they take Ziploc bags and they'll put it inside of hot water with like all these herbs and everything, and then you take it out and you grill it and stuff, and supposedly it changes the whole presence, but that sounds like basically a calculus class to me. It's too complicated.
Yeah.
This guy lives a savage life. He's blown up since I've seen him. He basically, when I first started catching on to him, and this is probably about 5 to 7 years ago, he was just doing deadlift videos and like talking every once in a while. Now it seems like he's got all these bona fide, verified kind of things.
He's definitely a war against vegans right now, if you want to like put it that way, but
I did the vegan thing for a while.
Did you? How did that make you feel?
I felt like a god for a little bit, but that's because I honestly was losing so much weight, and a lot of it was muscle mass. Like I was training heavily in endurance. I specifically decided to go vegan because I wanted to lose the weight. And I got down to like the high 170s, and I'm right now 209 standing in front of you. And you have to understand, like every pound that's on your body is basically energy that's extra expense. Like, it just costs more to do any kind of work. And, when you're doing endurance sports, it's just time. You're basically moving your body through time and space.
That's why those ultra guys are like sticks,
Or
right?
nothing.
Yeah.
So I did it, and then I had a really, really good season, but then all of a sudden it was like this, and then there was this cliff drop off that I did not come back from. That my libido basically was shot, my muscle mass was shot, like my energy was shot. So then I started to come back, and then shortly thereafter, like within about a year, I started to do the steak and apples diet. And I just became a titan again.
Steak and apples, I like it.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's what I'm going to start adding back in after this 90 days. So it's kind of like a detox period, and then I'm going to add I'm a big berries guy, man. I think I was a grizzly bear in my former life because raspberries, blackberries.
I heard
blueberries,
bears taste like
anything.
shit when they actually eat things like berries. Is that true?
I don't know. So, yeah, oh, yeah.
I thought that was the best part.
I thought this.
I think the best bear that I've ever had was out of off the western slope, and it was eating peaches basically
Really?
nonstop. Yeah.
So I'm sure you know who the guy is, Cameron Haynes. He's going through like a book tour right now, and I've heard the story like 50 times because he's been on every major podcast. But I do remember him talking about like a bear that was like underneath like a nut tree that like was the most delicious one, and for some reason he was saying the berry one didn't taste so good. And maybe I was wrong, but
I think a lot goes into that with wild game. It depends on the age of it, what it's been through, what kind of environment. Is it living in a high-stress environment? Like I think a lot of it comes down to the ethics of a shot because they get, if you wound an animal, they say they taste different. I don't know that that's true scientifically, but like the adrenaline and all that stuff runs through their body as to where if they don't know what hit them. So like, it's one of the reasons I'm a bow hunter, to be honest with you, is it's a much more, it's not, a lot of times, a lot of the animals that I've taken, there's no like shock value. It's not like they're getting hit with a bullet and it's like, oh my God, and then I'm dead, right? It's a lot of times they're like, shit, something hit me. I'm scared. I'm going to run a little bit. And then
you're probably not going to like my plan in the fall.
Yeah.
I've got a bear that's been a menace at my house. Wrecked
Get
my
a bear
hot
tag.
tub. Yeah, I'm getting a bear tag. This is in California up near Big Bear. And it's allowed up there. They're black bears, and they probably run from like 3 to like, I heard rumors around 600 pounds around there. And I'm going to fuck this guy up. He's been fucking up my house forever. So I'm going to get out there. I've got a dirty, hairy pistol, but I probably can't use that to kill him. And, 44 Magnum. But
That'll put him down.
Yeah, but I've just been
But you're
thinking
going to have
about
to be close range to hit him.
I don't
Get
care,
a
man.
rifle.
That's how I want to live, dude. If I'm going to go, I've never killed an animal except for a duck when I was younger and shot him in my pool with a BB gun. But this fucker and I have been contesting each other for a long time, and he knows what he's doing, and I know what he's doing. So I'm going to go out into the woods. Whatever weapon I decide to use, it's just going to be he against I, and I want it to be close. I want him to know when he dies who gave it to him. I just don't know if I can train up in time. I would feel bad. Yeah. I'm good with a gun. I'm good with a pistol. I'm good with a rifle. I would feel confident in at least taking the animal out. I would feel terrible about
whatever you feel the most confident in, because the worst thing to do is to wound an animal, right? And watch it suffer or not be able to find it. Yeah. That's even worse, right? So then it's wounded and you can't find it.
This is what scarred me. So I was a young kid, and we lived in Connecticut. We had a pool in the backyard. All of my brothers and everyone were out of the house for the day for some reason. It was dumping rain, and it was just my dad and I. My dad's in his bedroom. I'm in my room. I'm just kind of like, what the fuck am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And we had BB guns. A duck lands in the pool, and he's kind of kicking around. He's like, what a nice pool. What a nice day. And I pump up the BB gun. Pop, pop, pop. I aim down there, and I shoot at him. Hits him right in the neck, breaks his neck, and he's now in the pool flapping around. And I'm like, oh, shit. So I run to my dad crying. And I was like, Dad, I messed up. Help. So he goes outside, grabs the duck out of the pool, pulls it outside, and it's dumping rain. It's during the day, dumping rain, and he pumps up the gun and puts the gun to the duck's head. And I look away because I can't do this. I was already terrified about what I did. And he goes, and he grabs me and he goes, no, you watch. And just blows this duck's head off, kills it right there. And I have not hurt an animal ever since.
Yeah?
Nope. Messed me up
bad. It's an eye-opening thing. I think that, one of the best things one of the biggest life lessons for me was personally hunting. Like the first time I shot a big game animal, it's like the emotions that come over you, like it puts a value on a life. I've said this a million times, but like it made me appreciate it a little bit more. So
I get it completely. Is this a guy spear hunting? This is what I want to do with my bear. I'm going to go get him.
You need to talk to Donnie Dustin. Yeah. Get an atlatl or something. Okay. This is a grizzly, too.
I kind of feel bad about this, though. The bait and kill, I don't know. Maybe I'm not a hunter and I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass here. Yeah. But the bait and kill is kind of hardcore.
Dude, look at this.
Is he going to chuck this thing right in his chest?
Then it just shows the kill.
You're kidding me. He's really going to do this. Oh, my God. That is heavy. Is that your buddy?
No.
I was like, holy shit.
No, that's wild. I don't think I'd take it that far. I mean, I shoot a compound bow. I can hit the size of that coffee bag from, probably 50 yards consistently.
Wow.
But it's all mechanical. The technologies that's behind some of these bows now is incredible. Yeah. But you can take it to that primitive level as much as you want to go. I mean, right down to stone points if you wanted to,
My dad's friend when he was younger used to tell us about how he would hire pygmy, bushmen. Pygmy probably a bad word to use, but bushmen out in Africa to take him in there to go boar hunting and literally surround a boar and fight this thing with a knife. Wow. Yeah, that was hardcore.
That's pretty wild.
Guy. Yeah, that turns me on. Yeah. If I was ever going to do anything like this, I feel like that would be the only fair way of doing it. I do feel that, as you said, with the bow and the guns these days, they're so advanced.
I could understand that.
Yeah. And that's kind of more of my...
To me, it's more about the spiritual thing, the ethical thing. So whatever's going to make that animal expire the fastest. I have a whole shot mantra that sounds weird, but it's kind of part of an archery sequence. So you have a good release with your arrow and all that stuff. And one of the things in my mantra is honor the hunt, so it's just like...
How often are you doing this?
I shoot my bow pretty much every day. I went yesterday.
Going hunting now.
Oh, hunting? It's only once a year. September, typically. So
my friend took me duck hunting up in Ouray for New Year's. And I pretended to shoot at these ducks, but I don't think I hit any of them. he took out like 7 ducks. And the saddest part about it was there was all these decoys in the water. So and they're all in couples. They're flying in couples, and he's just blasting them dead. And half the time, one of them would only die and the other one would get away. Can you imagine showing up to a pond with your girlfriend and be like, yo, let's just take a break for a second, and then boom. I was like, this is awful.
Yeah, no. I think that
I'm not trying to hack on hunting, by the way.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think that you are. I think that we got to look at it from a scientific standpoint a little bit too. I mean, number one, hunting is a huge revenue source, especially for the state of Colorado. It's one of the biggest reasons why we have all these parks and all that sort of stuff. So I'm a big proponent of that. Any way that we can have more public land and more places to recreate, I think the better, right? But also from a management standpoint, like we've had wildlife biologists in, we've had Colorado Parks and Wildlife.
Yeah.
We've had hunters in, we've had anti-hunters in. So, but from an actual management standpoint, predators need to be managed. So I think it's perfectly okay to hunt a bear. I mean, there's a problem in the state of Colorado because they outlawed spring bear hunting, and now Colorado Parks and Wildlife can't manage the bear population like they want to, and they're overpopulated right now.
Brown bear,
black bears.
Black bears?
So they're
like
basically
big
giving
raccoons.
away they're basically giving away tags, and you're seeing more and more bear interactions, and you're having them in Northern California. California's another big one.
There's
Mountain
a ton of
lions
them.
scare me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's like 20,000 in the range over by where I'm at.
Wow.
It's something ridiculous like that. But I would say if I could, I'm not hacking on hunting at all. I just would like to have my version of the story. Like it's the same reason like I go mountain biking. I ride a single speed mountain bike. I want it to be rugged as fuck. So yeah, I definitely want to get into it. I think I'm on the verge of kind of contemplating retiring. So I want to start to find things, kind of going through this whole mindset course. And I had to write out like all my ambitions for the future. And I was saying out, like I wrote it all out. I was like, I'm not going to lift weights. I'm going to chop wood. I'm not going to run races. I'm going to climb mountains. Like I want to find physical ways to interact with my world that isn't in a competitive, aspect, and really find ways to find purpose and intention and also intensity. And I'm an intense person. So it needs to be something where I backpack in 10 miles to a spot to find this bear and go to war with him. And if I win, I'm going to carry that fucker out. And if he wins, he carries me out.
There's nothing more gratifying to me than the entire experience. It's not even so much the kill or anything like that, but the entire experience, including when I put down my dinner plate on the table and like know I know exactly where that came from. I know it brings back those memories of, packing it out and the entire experience, So I don't know. I think that we're missing a huge connection between food and people in general, like we talked about.
Yeah. I'm about to invest in what I consider not necessarily my forever home, but my family home. And I plan on turning it into a farm and an experience and also doing hunting and stuff. And that's where I'm going to try to start to take advantage of all the things you're discussing. Because I love bees. I want to have a bee farm. Yeah. I want to have
Hunter's
ducks.
sweet honey, right?
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Dude, you're going to be one of the first people to get a jar.
All right.
Yeah, so all this stuff's really in the future. Next time we talk, I guarantee you're going to be like, what have you been up to? I'm like, let me tell you, baby. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what events do you have coming up currently or are you on that retirement road right now?
I'm contemplating it. I still have like a lot of physical things, but it's like it'd be like almost doing a jiu-jitsu match when you're really a professional MMA guy. So like next weekend I go to a bike race in Winter Park, and then I'm probably going to come out and hang out with you guys. I was supposed to go to Broken Arrow in Northern California this weekend, but we decided not to go, and that's a vertical K. One thing that's really savage that we're going to do in the fall is my girlfriend and I are going to do the co-ed division of Swim Run World Championships. It's 39 miles of running and 6 miles of swimming across the Swedish archipelago. And yeah, to me though, that sounds like a lot more fun than my 1 hour maximal effort, like heart rate through the roof kind of thing. Sure. That's called Utulu. Look that up. Swim Run World Championships. It's all the islands and stuff off of Stockholm. Yeah. It's Ootaloo, island to island. This whole thing started because a couple guys were drinking in a bar, and they're like, "There's no way you could go from here all the way to Utu." They're like, "Fuck you, man. Yeah, I can."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how long has this been going on? Is it
I
few
think it's got to
years?
be in like the 10 to 15 year range.
nice?
Yeah.
Look at those paddles.
Yep. It's necessary.
You're gonna
dude.
die otherwise, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna have a blast. So I got that, and then in the
that's
fall,
awesome.
I will decide what I do next. I'm gonna give you three options, and you guys can weigh in on this. And I'm not deciding on any of them, but I'm talking to people that I actually care about and value their opinions. So you guys are now part of the conversation. Option one is probably the easiest. I continue to do what I've been doing for the past 10 years, continuing the circuit. There's, pays good money, gets good attention, and fulfills a need that I have in my soul. But I've been doing it for 10, 11 years now. Option two is I've been pursuing this sport called sprint canoeing for a couple years in the Olympics. We haven't qualified in, I think, 4 Olympic cycles. And I studied these guys, been stalking them. I was like, from a metric standpoint, my power output, my height, my weight, everything is like 1-to-1, if not better than these guys. And I'm not saying that I'm going to go win the Olympics, but if I qualify,
Sport canoeing,
sprint canoeing.
sprint canoeing.
Yep.
Jeremy, can you pull this up?
So it's
I
called.
got to see what this event is.
Dude, look at
I
these
don't
guys.
even know.
They look like football players in boats that are about as narrow as these whiskey cups, and it's called sprint canoeing. It should be C1 Sport. Yep. See that guy right
Okay,
there?
so it's a
That's-
team event,
That's
yeah?
Sebastian Brendel. No, it's not team.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Sebastian Brendel, I think it's like a 3-time Olympic gold medalist. I've talked to him a handful of times. Some of them are like, "This is awesome." Other ones are like, "You can't do it." And those ones that say I can't do it, I'm like, "What'd you say, motherfucker?"
Right. That's the driving force, right?
I was like, "There'll be blood in the water." Yeah. So I think this is in Brazil, maybe.
Okay, so it's an outdoor event then.
Outdoor
It's
event.
Summer games, yeah.
500,
that's
yeah,
real.
500 to 1,000. So yeah, you got all these guys, and
Oh, God,
Oh
one of
my
my favorite
God,
things to
dude.
do is stand-up paddleboard.
yeah. So this, I mean, listen,
This-
a ton of hip drive.
So do you stay
ton
on
of-
one knee the whole time?
one knee the whole time. So that guy from Brazil right there, who's 4 over from the right, just won the Olympic gold medal. And these guys are savage. You got the guy from Ukraine. He's really, really popular. I think he won 2 or 3 Olympic golds. And basically all it is how much power can you put out from that core and lat pull down position for about 3 minutes and 45 seconds is the average Olympic gold time for the sport.
So how far is this race? Like how
1,000
what's the
meters.
distance?
500 meter. Women do 200 meters. Men do 500, 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what would you start with? The 500?
I'd probably start in the 1,000. Yeah. Because the thing is if you think about it, as many strokes as you can get, you have as many strokes to make mistakes, more strokes to make mistakes or make corrections. I think if I just made too many mistakes in the beginning, that it's too short of a period for me to kind of correct them. And also my engine's big enough that I think I have a better engine than these guys. I'm not trying to insult them, but I'm just saying I've done a lot with my past 10 years and I know what an engine takes to do something. And I think I have it. The only difference is these guys probably, I would say, I think they do like 50 strokes per minute. And if you think about it, over 4 minutes, that's almost 200 strokes. If I make 10 strokes to 20 stroke mistakes, they're making 5. If that.
Sure.
So that's the difference between an Olympian and an idiot like myself. So that's an avenue that I'm looking at. And then the other avenue is the idea that I truly just let go of the extreme level of competition and pursue business and just life like this, like get into podcasting, get into more of the media side of things. I don't want to
Sure.
be considered a content creator, but just really more of the experience of life of sharing content and interesting things. And I've always wanted to be a writer as well. And that's a big part of me. But I also think about that. I'm like, dude, I have the next 60 or so years of my life to do that. So I don't know.
I would say, my personal opinion, if you want it or if it matters,
No, go for it, man.
I think you should keep competing. I think you're probably in the prime of your athletic life.
Yeah.
Give it a few years. Maybe this would be super fucking cool.
I think so too, dude. I think so too.
We'd be rooting for you.
So here's the thing. Yeah. So here's the thing. A couple years ago, I think I told you this, I got invited to the CrossFit Games.
Right.
I didn't do what the CrossFit Games athletes typically do. They have to qualify. I was like, hey, there's this small clause in the contract that says they can invite people. I was like, I've got 1 year to get this invitation. So I campaigned for it. I also have 1 year to start qualifying for the Olympics. I'm about 1 year out from the national championships that qualify you are in August in 2022.
Okay.
That would make you get into the Olympic Games.
Is there an age cutoff?
There's no age cutoff.
Okay.
Technically, I could keep on going, but like that guy Sebastian Brindle in the boat right there, he's 34, and I think the guy over there is like 28 or 29 in the Brazilian boat.
Okay.
So I study these guys a lot.
Yeah.
Stalker. So the idea is like I've done this before where I've transformed my entire life to go pursue something and do something that no one else has done before. And it's good, but this is the crazy part about it is it takes a true level of insanity and disconnecting from the rest of the world to fully connect into a world like this.
And you can't run those businesses and stuff when you're performing at that high level, right?
Technically,
or you would need some help.
I have 3 employees now. Yeah. I busted my ass. I got these 3 employees. I pray and thank God that they gave me them every single day, that they came into my life. But it would have to be this level of confidence that my team would fucking pick up the shit that I wasn't able to do while I was gone, and that this would pay off in the long run. Like, hey guys, this is a penny in the bank right now that will be worth $1 million later. So let's all work on this thing. So it's one of those kind of things, and I'd have to have the conversation with my girlfriend again. Hopefully that thing pans out for the long run. Like, I just be like, hey, listen, I'm gonna have to disappear and be on a boat a lot, and you're just gonna have to watch because that's the reality of the situation. And it's nothing to do with the fact that I don't care about you. It's just I have to care
that's taxing
so
on a
much.
relationship too. I'm sure, right? Being a high performer, performing at any high level athletic sport.
Yes, almost every single one of my girlfriends has used the same term. They say it's the Hunter show, and you know what? It is. And I'm not trying to be rude about it. It's just, hey, how do you think you get this many world titles? Sure. Do you think that when Michael Phelps plans out his day that, like, everything is around what his girlfriend wants to do? It's like, no. Where's the pool? How many laps can I do? Where's my food?
And it's staying on point, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and then not to be in a rude way, but you got to think about it. You can even watch any of the interviews with people like Tom Brady. He talks about it openly. He's like, my family has had to take the back seat. And that's just the reality of it. And I wish it wasn't that way. I just know the honest truth of how I have to dedicate myself.
I think
to
that comes in any high-level performance, whether it's in business or whatever. Somebody's paying a price, a little bit.
Think about like someone like Elon Musk. I think he's got like 4 children from 4 different wives.
Right.
I don't think it's because he wanted new wives. I think they just grew up fed up with him, and then he goes on to the next one. So, I don't know. No, not to talk shit, Elon. Sorry. But he's
not listening to this.
No.
I guarantee
he is, dude. He's sitting there, and he's drawing pictures of Tesla, and he's like, I love the mountainside. I bet you probably have some interesting listeners that you probably wouldn't even think about.
Oh, it's crazy. Some of the messages that I get, some of the hate mail that we get, I encourage that too. Send me some more of that. I enjoy that. Dude, it's good.
If it wasn't for
fuel
haters,
for the fire.
Haters are the ones that blow on the fire and keep it stoked.
Mm-hmm.
They keep your name constantly in the cycle and up in the forefront. If you just said something stupid, all these people repost about it. It's going to blow you up for a second, and then it's going to calm down. And then the next thing's going to come up. That's my entire life. Yeah, the other day I made some stupid post that had really nothing to do with the thing that instigated their emotional turmoil, but they went after me, and my followers went up, interestingly enough, and I got a lot of hate mail, hundreds of messages, and back to life again. Yeah.
Have you ever had somebody like glom onto you and start promoting you without them asking, and like it starts driving all these other
in a positive way,
like promoters and stuff? Yeah, it's like socially or sharing stuff, and it's like, what the fuck? How did I fall down this rabbit hole, and why?
Interestingly,
like I appreciate the support, but it's coming with other problems. Like I can see it firsthand.
I definitely. I have to talk to my one friend Eddie. He runs a podcast. He's a comedian. I kind of just like will have conversation. I'm like, dude, this popped up. Listen to what just happened. We'll talk through it for a second. And his line at the end, he's like, dude, any PR is good PR. Sure. He's just like, you gotta understand. It doesn't matter. Like, just take the heat that comes with it. But if you're out there basking in the sunshine, sometimes you get a sunburn. But that's the reality of the situation. And I've had a lot of those things. Like anytime I get associated with CrossFit, I get so shit on because as I explained to you before, I got invited in.
Right.
To this day, that happened 3 years ago. I have people that are just like sending me hate mail. They're like, "You're just a fucking deadbeat that couldn't make it in CrossFit."
CrossFitters are hardcore though.
They are.
They're.
It's almost like a religion. That's why they're so like insane about it. So, it's almost like religious warfare on me. Like, you don't believe in our beliefs. We hate you. But
because it was a different approach, you think, or?
I just think that they're dubbed the fittest on earth.
Right.
And, when you have that mentality, fittest on earth, that's part of like inherently like born into the title of your action every single day. You get this somewhat of a presence of entitlement and like superiority that comes with it. Like, well, you bodybuild, but like, yeah, that's bodybuilding, dude. Like, I do CrossFit. We're the fittest athletes on earth. Oh, you do triathlon? Like, yeah, it's whatever, but we're CrossFitters. We're the fittest on earth, dude. Like, yeah, your guy did an Ironman in how many hours, but is he like Matt Frazier, the 5-time fittest on earth guy? So it was brilliant marketing on their point. But what I came in was basically, I came from
now
an
it's
argument
turned
standpoint.
into a cult a
Yeah.
little bit, right?
My argument point for the reason why I should be invited, though, is like I've beat the shit out of like guys have been on the podium at the CrossFit Games multiple times in my sport, yet you guys still keep on telling me that you're the fittest. I was like, let me in and let me play the game. So that's why it really stirred the pot.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like the Conor McGregor thing.
Oh shit, Jeremy, what do you got pulled up here?
This
I
is
was
our
just
party.
looking for that promo.
Yeah. So are you gonna be able to make it out for this?
I'm 90% sure now that you mentioned it. I don't want to guarantee because I just want to make sure, but I want to make sure Winter Park's not like 6 hours from here. Is it what, like an
No,
hour?
No,
it's
Winter
like an
Park's
hour,
close.
hour and a half.
And I'm Yeah.
sure that this is does it say what time it starts, Jeremy? Give us some details. Hey. If you want some more details on this, we will share all this.
I'll share it on my page too.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to get out there. I love these guys.
But yeah, no, I'm excited to see him. I'm more excited to go to the show with Hunter if he can make it. So yeah, we'll put all the details. We'll make a post or something. Let's go ahead and share their Instagram page. What is it? Just Hops and Drop, or is it Hops?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hops drops _ evergreen.
Okay, perfect. So go check that out. There's a ton of information there. They also have a website.
This part. It's hopsdropsevergreen.com.
Perfect. If you want to purchase tickets, go there. So get entered. Come hang out.
Big shout out to you guys. Yeah, dude. I'm only drinking once a week. Don't tell anybody that I had this.
This doesn't count.
Yeah.
This is getting blasted to the world in the next couple days.
Yeah.
There's no secrets here. We can edit that out though if you really want to.
We're doing a summer challenge for one of my training programs, and I set all these things that were my goals to get through this 8 weeks of transforming my body. And one of them I was like, hey, I'll just cut down drinking to once a week.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, I don't know, not to get on a rant here, but this is delicious. This isn't for the action of drinking.
Did you
It's
like the Buffalo Trace?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Cheers to you, man. Thanks for having me out, brother.
I got to do another little finger here.
Yeah, I got to get a little spice.
Can't
in there.
cheers without drinking.
Next time I see you, I'll cook a steak. Next time you see me, you cook a steak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be in a next weekend or something. So, or
Dr.
is it
Sean
the
Baker, to
25th?
you, my friend.
Yeah. Cheers. But yeah, Hunter, this has been super awesome. I know you got shit to do. We got to wrap this thing up. I really appreciate you coming up, man, and
always a
hanging
fan.
out with us.
Congratulations.
I'm
on
sorry it took
everything.
2 years to invite you back, but
Don't worry about it, man.
we did do the Christmas special, though. That was
Yeah.
kind of cool.
We got decades ahead of us, dude. We're going to keep this thing running.
Real quick before we jump off here,
Yep.
let's drop your Instagram. Let's talk about, I'm going to pound some of this, too, because
Yep.
I haven't had my salts yet today.
There you go.
But yeah, let's talk about any businesses, anything that you got going on.
Yeah.
Websites.
Well,
Is-
we'll start here. My
Okay.
name's Hunter McIntyre. I'm sure you figured that out by now. You can type in Hunter McIntyre anywhere and honestly find a great deal of information of things that will hopefully be a resource to you. If you guys want, my motto basically is I train and fuel athletes to be their best. And we have house training, which is Hunter's Academy of Strength, and we help people be the strongest endurance athletes on the planet. If you want to have that body that can do it all, but also move through time and space, whether that's triathlons, marathons, HYROX events, that's my specialty, and I'm really passionate about it, honestly. Builder Nutrition is my supplement company. I'm super proud of it. I started out literally out of my bank account, and every dollar that comes in, I invest back in. So it's one of these kind of things. It's a passion project, guys. If you are looking for something to put in your water that will enhance the day, support the day, and strengthen the day, that's what we create. So if you guys are looking for something and you want something that's a little bit more delicious than that pH water we were talking shit about, give us a check out, and we'd love to help support whatever you're doing.
Perfect, man.
Yep.
We will be crushing that. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Hunter, thanks again. Jeremy?
Shout out to you, brother.
Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. Also, if you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com.